What's good? Welcome to First Street Podcast presented by BetRivers. Make sure you download the BetRivers app or go to www.betrivers.com. As you can see, Toothpick is not where he's supposed to be right now. All right. I am running a little bit behind, but we will get this show started for you guys. We have David Harris from Locked On Commanders and Locked On Bucs podcast with us today. We're going to go heavy NFL Super Wild Card Weekend. We are going to talk a little bit about this 2-to-1 ratio, run the pass with David as well. But y'all know what time it is. It's time to get started. Let's go.
Artlist.io.
Again, welcome back to First Street Podcast presented by BetRivers. Make sure you download that BetRivers app or go to www.betrivers.com. You must be 21 years or older to play. Do not forget to like and subscribe to the First Street Podcast. Give us that good thumbs up and hit that bell to enable alerts and notifications for new content just like this. Without further ado, let's get the squad in here. Say it. Get in here, man.
Hail to the world champs. Hail to the world champs. Back to back.
Oh, we're still talking Georgia. I thought you'd be over that by now.
What?
I thought you'd be over it.
I'll be over once I get my gear. And it ain't going to be for a minute because so many people ordering stuff.
Okay. All right. Listen. So your NFL team is out of the playoffs. My NFL team is out of the playoffs. Let's bring in Lady A because she's ready for the couch. Make it beautiful in here, please. How are you?
I'm good. I'm ready for the couch. I'm going to scoot over because, some people about to be on the couch with us after this.
They're going to be joining us, right?
Yeah, so I'm going to scoot over. We got some room.
All right. One out of three sucks. It should have been 4 out of 4. The whole NFC East should have been it. But let's bring in Ant and the Cowboys because they still in it for a little bit. How you doing, sir?
What is this?
This how it burns when you out of the playoffs. Listen, Michael Parsons said he's in playoff mode, so I guess I am too. Let's let the games begin.
He wasn't in playoff mode on Sunday. I can tell you that. That's what he was
because it's not the playoffs. They start.
Yeah, You know what? Cowboy fans always got excuses. They came up there for a reason. They came to win and lost. Left with an L.
Please excuse my playoff beard.
Okay, playoff beards. Okay,
yeah, that's what it is.
Let's get our guest in here, David, who witnessed this beatdown firsthand. How are you, David?
I'm good. How are you guys all doing?
I'm doing great. David, hold on. Can you inform? I mean, I want to say remember that in Living Color. Jamaicans got like 17 jobs, right? They got the fly to plane, land to play. Can you list everything that you do for us?
Yeah. So, I mean, first and foremost, one of the hosts of the Locked On Commanders podcast, along with Chris Russell.
The Rooster.
As many people know him. Yeah. I also write for Commander Country, part of Sports Illustrated's Fan Nation. And then I'm also covering the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for the Locked On Bucs podcast and for BucsGameDay.com, part of also Sports Illustrated's Fan Nation, and actually just started yesterday writing about the Washington Wizards. I'm not gonna say I cover the Wizards yet. I haven't been to anything in person and probably won't until after the All-Star game. But yeah, just picking up with Inside the Wizards, also part of Sports Illustrated's Fan Nation. So
all right, so listen,
everything.
Speaking of Wizards, make sure you Wizards fans are with us on Tuesday. We got Chase Hughes coming back from NBC Sports Washington, our Wizards guy. He gives us the lowdown, the highs and lows. Talking to him yesterday, and the Wizards won. So maybe I need to talk to him more often.
Yes.
So that's coming up on Tuesday. And, David, you guys have to find David any and everywhere because he's just like us. He's in your face like space. Yeah. I stole that from Travis Thomas. All right. So listen, we are going to talk a little playoffs right now because that's what we're about to get you guys set for. I'm going to disappear. And when I reappear, I will be in the correct uniform, ready to go.
Huh?
But I will be watching. Said, you got the helm, bro. I'm out.
And said before you get into it, all Commanders fans should really disappear because
What?
they're
You
not
know
in
what?
the playoffs.
I do know how to put
Say it. Go away, buddy. Go away
Ant was
like you said.
Ant was going to have a short day.
You know what I love about this? It's because Pick's not in his normal. He can't do his little hating stuff where he gets.
Hey, I was about to. I got ways to do it. I got ways to do it.
Hey, I'm about to remove you myself.
Oh,
Sid, I'm listening to you, man.
That's Dallas hate.
Oh my God!
Hey, look, and we don't want to share the couch with the likes of you. So
the likes of us.
Put me backstage, Sid. Put me backstage, please.
Yeah, we don't want to share the.
All right. We know. Pick is finna do his thing. He finna get ready to head to the house. Even before we were to start this wildcard weekend, I wanted to ask David a couple questions. About one or two of the teams that's in the playoffs. More or less about the Bucs. One of the questions I have about Tampa is that offensive line.
Yeah.
The offensive line struggled against Atlanta, and they probably pulled Tom Brady out of the game. So what have you seen so far?
Yeah, I mean, the offensive line has really just kind of been in a whirlwind really since the beginning of the offseason. Previous to the season where Ali Marpet, their left guard, decided to retire. It had accomplished pretty much everything I think that he intended to accomplish as an NFL player and wanted to walk out while he still had all of his health and his mental faculties with him. So can't blame him for doing that. He left. They also lost the right guard, Alex Kappa, in free agency to the Cincinnati Bengals. So that was also another big blow for them. And then first day of training camp, they lose their all-pro caliber center Ryan Jensen to a knee injury. So immediately your three interior offensive linemen in Tampa Bay are gone from your Super Bowl team and from even the year before where they made the run to the divisional round and arguably could have possibly pulled off one of the greatest upsets in playoff history, but fell short of that to the Los Angeles Rams, who obviously ultimately won the Super Bowl. So that right there just kind of set this offense up for, I don't want to say total failure, but certainly set them behind the power curve a lot. And then Tom Brady's situation with his, deciding to retire and then come back, taking some time off during training camp, his familial issues off the field certainly kind of provided a distraction for the team. And they've just not really been able to find solid footing all season long because of really what started off on the interior offensive line. Now, the good news is they've got a little bit of more of stability there. Shaq Mason came in from the New England Patriots. He's been able to kind of pick things up, and Ryan Jensen is actually practicing this week. Don't expect him to play in the wild card round. Never say never, especially with the Monday night game. Maybe they can get him in there. But for right now, they're hoping to get Robert Hainsey back, who started all season long and against the Atlanta Falcons in Week 18, hurt his hamstring in that Week 18 game. He is also limited in practice, but he looks more likely to be able to play, and then Nick Leverett over on the left guard spot.
Okay, so I mean, it's like they're in flux, but not really in flux. But they're not in total playoff shape. But they may be able to go in and do something. No, we all know Tom Brady. I as you can see, I'm also a Falcon fan, so yes, I know Tom Brady as well. Not saying I like it, not saying I love it, but yes, I know Tom Brady. What about the wide receivers? I see Julio Jones on the sideline who didn't play last week. Godwin seems to be a little nicked up. Even Evans, have they said anything about them this week?
So Mike Evans missed the Atlanta game because of an illness. He should be fine. He was actually suited up, could have played, but they erred on the side of caution there. But really, I mean, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense has been operating at a fairly good clip as of late, at least a lot better than what we've seen for most of the season. If you look at the last 6 quarters that the starters have played, including the full second quarter, which they didn't actually play the full second quarter, but we counted anyway. They put their team in scoring position in 60 or 50% of their offensive drives in the last 6 quarters, which is a pretty good clip. The average NFL game runs 12, maybe 13 drives, depending on the game flow and everything that goes. So if you get 6 scoring drives, or at least put your team in position to score points on 6 drives per game, you're looking pretty good, and you have a pretty good chance of winning. And that's what the Buccaneers offense has been able to do in the last 2 regular season games. Mike Evans in that span, 3 touchdowns, 200+ yards. Chris Godwin close to 200 yards and a ton of catches. So those guys are starting to click. The question is, can they keep that momentum going up against Dallas Cowboys team that has a very fierce pass rush and a young defender in Micah Parsons, who, look, Tom Brady has seen a lot of young guys kind of come in, try to dethrone him, maybe send him into retirement. Patrick Mahomes comes to mind as one of those guys. And so far, Tom Brady has been able to kind of push those guys aside and say, no, I'm still the king here in the National Football League. But reality, right, those contenders have always been on the sideline when Tom's on the field. This time you have a contender who's trying to become kind of a king of the NFC, a king of the NFL, and he's actually going to be on the field at the same time as Tom Brady and actually be able to make a potential impact against the greatest of all time. So definitely look for Micah Parsons to be incredibly healthy, or incredibly hungry, rather, not to mention the snub from the players themselves recently, not really helping the Buccaneers' causes here this weekend.
Yeah.
So, and I made mention to that, Micah Parsons was talking about some list or something that came out. I don't know. But he was saying he's in playoff mode. Mm-hmm. And so, looking at the first game, he was able to get the Brady twice. That was one of the few bright spots of that game, and it came in pivotal times in the red zone. So that's the type of stuff that it would be quite beneficial for us to get back to be successful in this game. My question is, looking at this is the third year for Tom. You've seen the first year play Super Bowl, second year playoffs, like you said, almost did what we should know that he's capable of doing, and then it appears to be a humongous drop off. Besides the offensive line, is it more of a Brady kind of seeming to Father Time bro it, or is it some more things besides the offensive line that aren't working in his favor to be able to see this team pretty much fall off a cliff and only make it because that division is really probably one of the worst divisions in football? What do you attribute it to?
Yeah, you had the NFC least 2 years ago, and now this year you got the NFC slouch, and that's just that's the best way we really put it. But really, it falls to coaching a little bit. Bruce Arians the first 2 years, with Tom Brady there in Tampa when they were together. Bruce's second and third season as the head coach of the Buccaneers. Tom Brady's first 2 years. He's a player's coach. He's a guy that says, okay, what do what do my quarterbacks want to do? What do they do best? Let's go do that. And that's not just with Tom. I mean, going all the way back to Tim Couch and the Cleveland Browns, he's always been a guy who wants his quarterback to have control of the offense, put their own spin on things, and be aggressive in doing so. Now you switch gears to Todd Bowles, who is obviously a defensive coach, one of the greatest defensive coordinators in his time, at least in the National Football League. But because he's a defensive coach, he does what a lot of defensive coaches want to do. They want to win with defense. They want to keep the score down, and they want to control the ball, which means a lot of running, which means a lot of short passing games. We see that in Washington with Ron Rivera and his staff as well. That's just kind of the trademark, rather, of a defensive-minded coach. But what also came with Todd Bowles is he's much more of a coach-centric leader. He wants his coaches to be in charge. He wants the coaches to game plan, the coaches to develop the strategy. And then, Byron Leftwich, he wants him to kind of talk and consult with Tom Brady, of course. But at the end of the day, Byron Leftwich has far more control of the offense in 2022 than he did in 2021 and 2020. It was much more Tom Brady runs the offense. Byron kind of calls the game the way that Tom wants it to be called and has kind of laid out for his offensive coordinator. And that's not really Tom being in charge of Byron. That's just Bruce Arians' style. Todd Bowles, again, is much more of a coach-centric guy, and he wants Byron. So now Byron is basically listening to what Todd wants versus what Tom wants more than we've seen before. And that's why you see the shift in the strategy and the philosophy of what the Buccaneers are doing. And they're trying to rely on a running game that, again, because of the soft middle of the offensive line, really hard to run between the tackles. And when defenses know you can't run between the tackles with a whole lot of dominance, it's a little bit easier to defend the edges because they're not committing as much weight up the middle. And that's why you see the worst rushing game in the National Football League. You couple that with a defensive coach that wants to control the clock. You can't really do that when you're facing 2nd and 12, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, things like that. A lot of 3 and outs, a lot of short drives, short possessions. Your defense is on the field for a very long time. One thing trickles down into the next. Now, these last 2 games, like we said, and talk about the offensive uptick, it's looking a little bit more like maybe Todd is saying, you know what, Byron, you're still the guy in charge, but now you're going to be in charge of doing things a little bit more Tom Brady's way. If that's accurate, if that's an accurate assessment of what we're seeing, then I expect against Dallas, you're going to see much more aerial attack, a lot more aggressive passing attack than you did the first time, a little bit more akin to what you saw week 1 of 2021 when the Cowboys and Buccaneers kicked off the regular season then.
You don't think that Bruce Arians having kind of more like a Bill Belichickian approach to holding Tom accountable was something that actually benefited Tom more, because I don't think we're gonna get any sound bites from Bowles, but we would look and Bruce Arians would be like, well, Tom's got to play better. And
Yeah.
I think those type of things, even though Tom may hate them at the core of him, are kind of the things that have kind of spurred him on, adding to that chip on his shoulder to be able to go out there and have a certain approach. Like, okay, even my coach kind of seems like he's against me. It seems like when you kind of let off the gas a little bit, not that Tom is any less of a professional, but it doesn't rev him in the right way to kind of get him going. Am I kind of off with that? Or, I mean, maybe is that something you necessarily can't see?
I mean, I will tell you that Tom, to everything that we can see and that we can talk about, doesn't have a problem or never had a problem with Bruce Arians calling him out publicly or saying that he needed to play better. Tom has always been a guy and always is a guy who, if his team loses, he needed to play better. I mean, he could come out with the perfect quarterback rating, and if somehow the Buccaneers still lost, he would put it on him as much as he put it on anybody else. That's just kind of how Tom is built. And honestly, if you kind of a lot of people look at Tom Brady kind of like a superhero. If you compare him to like an Iron Man, right, that little glowing, uranium, whatever thing that powers Iron Man suit. Tom Brady's power source is being a 6th-round pick all the way back in 2000, and all 32 NFL teams passing over him for nearly 3 entire days. He holds as much of a grudge against the New England Patriots as he does anybody else for letting him be a 6th-round pick. And really, that's the only chip that Tom Brady has ever needed on his shoulder, and that's kind of what he carries with him. At this point in his career, Tom is a lot less concerned with what's being said in the public space or at press conferences as much as he is just the result of the game and the play of his teammates. And that's where his focus is going to be. And that's where his focus kind of has been since he became a Buccaneer.
I got to give him Batman. I can't give him Iron Man.
That's fine. Yeah, whatever analogy we need to use.
No, not Tom. I mean, I do have a question because you answered a couple of them already, though, honestly. But Tom's 45. Okay, we got to be real. He retired and came back. We know Tom. This is his strong point, the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So against Dallas, though, we don't have a whole lot of, they're not in the same division, so we don't have a lot of stats on them like we would another team. Mm-hmm. His completion, though, against Dallas is 66.7. How do you think that is going to play out for this game? Because he's older, and then when you look at Dallas's defense, now they've sacked, I want to say they have like 27 sacks so far this year, but this is the playoffs, so how do you think that Tom is going to fare in this playoff season?
Yeah, it's hard to gauge, but honestly, anything close to 65% in this wild card game, I would consider a success from Tom Brady, as long as that 65% completion rate comes with no turnovers, and that's going to be kind of the key. The Buccaneers, they're not going to come into this game expecting to blow Dallas out of the water. That's not going to be that's not going to be the expectation. I mean, anything can obviously happen once the game gets started, right? But that's not going to be the expectations. The Buccaneers are coming in expecting to try to put together, honestly, what would be their first 4 complete quarters in a single outing. I mean, they haven't put together 4 complete quarters in a single game. But if they can go out, 0 3 and outs is obviously a huge key. You want to get 45% or more on third down conversions, and you want to protect the ball. But if Tom has to throw the ball away, dirt a couple of balls just to keep himself upright, but also keep the ball out of the hands of one of those dangerous Dallas Cowboys defenders, that's what he's going to do. So if he completes 63% of the passes, but those 63% of the passes put them in second and manageable, third and manageable, get them moving the chains, put them in field goal range, or even score a touchdown, which would be amazing, then that's what they're going to do, and that's what Tom is going to do. What you can't do against the Dallas Cowboys team is turn the ball over, especially in your own end of the field or inside their own red zone, because this is the kind of team, the kind of game where if you give them the opportunities to seize momentum, it can quickly get away from you.
Right. So I kind of flip it for Dak. Okay. We have another quarterback, whole different scenario.
Yeah.
The Cowboys have allowed 54 sacks this season.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think Tampa Bay's defense is going to attempt to take advantage of things like that?
I think you're going to see a lot of Devin White trying to penetrate the offensive line for the Dallas Cowboys. And you're going to see him do it up the middle. You're going to see him do it on either edge. You're going to see him do it delayed. You're going to see him lined up on the line of scrimmage, fall back into coverage. Todd Bowles is going to look to force Dak Prescott to hold on to the ball as long as he possibly can to let his pass rush get home, because really, it kind of goes hand in hand. Obviously everybody wants to get off to a fast start. That's not a new, strategy in the National Football League. But if the Buccaneers can put some pressure on Dak Prescott, get him off the field, maybe for some 3 and outs, things like that, but also put some points on the board, that puts even more pressure on Dak Prescott. And pressure is cumulative, right? And Dak is he eats up about 22% of the Cowboys salary cap, one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the National Football League. And let's be honest, his decision making in some critical moments throughout his career has not been the greatest. So if you're the Buccaneers, you want to play defense or put pressure on defense, but also put pressure on offense by putting points up on the board, controlling the clock, holding the ball, which again goes more into kind of Todd Bowles' mentality. But if the Buccaneers can go into halftime with 7 to a 10-point lead, hold the ball for 60% or so of the first half, then when the Cowboys come out for the second half, you're going to expect Dak Prescott to kind of have a little bit of built-up pressure against him that maybe they can get him to break there early in the third quarter.
Okay. Yeah. One of the last questions that we have is Dan Quinn.
I have a lot, actually.
One of my last questions, Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn was a defensive coordinator in Seattle when Seattle decided to throw that ball and, the interception with the Patriots. Dan Quinn was also head coach / defensive coordinator in Atlanta, would allow Brady and them to come back. Dan Quinn is over defensively. I'm just saying over defensively against Tom Brady.
Yeah.
What do you think he can change this time?
I think the worst thing that Dan Quinn could do is come out here trying to prove something against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and specifically against Tom Brady, because that's exactly what Tom Brady wants him to do. Because when you're trying to prove a point to somebody, you make the game bigger than you. And if your players see the coach making the game bigger than themselves, then it's going to put them in the mode. I mean, I think Micah Parsons is probably the only player I'd say that would probably be immune to that. He doesn't seem to really care about the stage as much as he does just doing his job. But, if a coach is making the game bigger than what it really is, the players are going to feel that. That's going to add more pressure, and that's going to lead to over-aggressiveness and bad reads and bad decision-making on the defense. And you can't do that against Tom Brady. He's going to eat you alive if you do it. So really, I mean, if you look at the Dallas Cowboys where they kind of match up the best, you got to go strength on strength, and you got to get your best pass rusher on the field after the quarterback. Even if he doesn't get a sack, even if he doesn't necessarily get a hit, just make Tom Brady feel that pressure. Put your best defensive back on their best receiver, which, depending honestly on the down and the distance and even the formation, could be Chris Godwin, could be Mike Evans. If Mike Evans is isolated and they go heavy on the opposite side of the field, I put your best defender on Mike Evans. If you got Chris Godwin in the slot and you're talking 2nd and 8, 3rd and 6 type of a scenario, and you're in kind of the middle part of the field, maybe you put him on Chris Godwin, you bracket coverage Mike Evans with 2 lesser defenders. Just rely on your strengths and trust your players to go out there and do what they're going to do. Because I will say this, and Commanders fans aren't going to be happy to hear this, but I got confirmation from multiple Commanders players following Week 18. The Dallas Cowboys were not exactly playing with their hair on fire in Week 18. So take that for what it's worth. But the Dallas Cowboys players will be coming on this wild card match playing with much more effort than they did.
Don't tell them that, man. They really want to take pride. They want to take pride in what they did.
Don't take anything away from the Commanders players. Right? They definitely did their thing. They balled out all those things. But
that was a great way.
You gotta be honest with it. And the Cowboys players
win the game, lose playoff. Lose drafting position. No big deal.
Okay, but you guys wanted to win first place in NFC.
I apologize if I offended you. Let me talk to let me talk to Dave a little bit about the playoffs. You seem to have in 2 comments seem to have a certain respect for the Cowboys defense that I'm not sure is warranted.
Yeah.
Or is that just your understanding of, you recall how they were playing at a certain time where they were clicking? Or is there maybe some sentiment that, hey, you still got to put some respect on these guys' name for what they could possibly do? Leighton Vander Esch is back and appearing to be healthy, practice all week. We saw how much we missed him being one of the frontline guys on the defense, being able to stop the run, etc. What are your thoughts on that defense and what it's because then I've been hearing multiple people say that Micah's been dealing with multiple injuries as well. Don't know how true that is, but what is your sense about this defense and what they're going to need to do?
Yeah, Micah's definitely banged up. I mean, there's no doubt. And I think everybody is to a certain extent, but I think Micah might be a little bit more banged up than some players are at this stage in the season. Multiple times we saw him leave the field in FedEx Stadium and get, some sort of attention or treatment from the trainers. And when a guy like Michael Parsons is doing that, that's significant, something worth paying attention to. But really, at the end of the day, I've always kind of told people that it takes a lot of talent to suck in the National Football League, and the Dallas Cowboys don't suck. They're a wild card team. For a reason, they were competing for the number 1 seed in the NFC for the division title, and you don't luck into 12 wins. You might luck into 2 or 3 throughout the season, but you're not going to luck into 12 wins. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, quite honestly, have not done the best job throughout the season of taking advantage of defensive weaknesses all that well. They're much more of it's a defensive minded coach, much more of we worry about what we want to do and we want to impose our will against the opposing team. And sometimes coaches with that mentality, when the opposing team says, okay, what you're wanting to do, we're good against, and we're going to stand up against it, that defensive-minded coach doesn't necessarily go away from it. They just tell their players, do it better. And sometimes it works, and a lot of times it doesn't work. And a lot of times it leads to lost jobs and lost games. So even if the Buccaneers kind of find a thread to pull on against the Dallas Cowboys defense, there's not a whole lot of confidence that they're going to find that thread and keep pulling at it. Instead, they'll find that thread and say, okay, guys, they think we're going to pull that thread, so now let's go back to what we were doing before that wasn't successful. And then usually, by surprise, you're still not successful.
Right. Well, I have another question. Mm-hmm. Whoever the winner may be of this game, next game, who do you think they really need to watch out for?
It's the Eagles, especially with Jalen Hurts on the field. I mean, the Eagles are just they've proven kind of time and time again that they're a true competitor, and even though they lost some games with Jalen Hurts out, they're still a very competitive team, a very unified team. And honestly, in a lot of ways, losing Jalen Hurts for a period of time towards the end of the regular season kind of forces them to look within themselves and say, okay, how much are we leaning on Jalen and how much are we supporting Jalen, and learning how to be better supporters of the quarterback versus relying on the quarterback. So now that he's back, what you should see with some of the leaders that they have on that team is a team that's much more capable of helping elevate Jalen as he also elevates them. And I think Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles are the team to watch out for in the NFC, just by and large.
That's interesting to me. I think it's a perfect storm because that will be the third time, and we both split, both didn't have our quarterback. How often does that happen?
Pretty rare.
For whatever the reason, they had a lot of turnovers in that game. We still had, people often say, well, if Gardner Minshew doesn't give you 4 turnovers, and it's like, well, I said in the first game, if Cooper Rush doesn't give you 3 turnovers, it's the same meal. You know what I'm saying? Same sandwich. So I think that's the most electrifying matchup, I believe, because that's our opponents, and now we get to really see us full strength. But I'm thinking San Francisco, nobody wants to go there.
San Francisco is definitely dangerous. Nobody wants to play that defense, right? But that offense, not as scary, even with Brock Purdy. It depends on your defense as well and where you match up. Match up well. I think that a lot of people learned against the Brock Purdy San Francisco 49ers. The key is forcing long drives. Teams have given up. The Buccaneers themselves, the Commanders, have given up way too many explosive passes to Brock Purdy. Force him to drive down the field. Force him to run a 12, 13 play drive and not make a mistake. That's really the best way to get the 49ers offense to become a problem for themselves. But that defense certainly, very clearly, I think the best defense in the NFC playoff race.
All right, hold on a second. Let's check on some of the people we got in chat here. We got Bruce. He said, "Good evening, everyone." Bruce. Then we got Droop. He came up here. He told Bruce what's up. Me in the building as well. Everybody want a piece of that right there.
Yeah, don't claim my money. That's my money. Nope.
That's what he's talking about. I was like, what do you mean he's gonna be a millionaire? I thought he was talking about a parlay or something.
Bruce was talking no excuse. He was talking about the game and he said no excuse.
Yeah,
going on that baby girl. And then welcome Marcus. Thank you. He said Lady A. Mm-hmm. Marcus says Dallas defense is struggling. Tampa Bay is getting healthy. healthy, they have a good chance to win.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree at all. The thing that makes me nervous as a Cowboys fan is the fact that the first time they blistered us, Leonard Fournette for 126 yards. And I heard a number on a certain run, he went for 11 yards, he went for 9 yards, and he went for 17. If this team, who has been decrepit to the run all year, finds a way to gash the Cowboys' defense for that type of run yards, I might just be done. I might just really be done for real this time. Like, I don't. This is what they do, though. When you talk about having a quarterback like Dak Prescott who stumbles, bumbles, and fumbles his way into the playoffs, I'm gonna save some of my stuff that I got for 5 good minutes, but it's like it's just beyond me, guys, to see this team, because let's just be honest here. They should have played better. They should have beat the Commanders, even if you weren't taking any stock into it. You still need to put together a good game to get ready for the playoffs. And the fact that you probably had the worst game that you've had probably since Romo's 44-6 game at Philly. I mean, it was that bad. Everybody looked terrible except for CeeDee Lamb, and you only throw him the ball 5 times.
Yeah.
You know, and now that we were talking about defense, and I don't think we even talked about Tampa's defense. Is there anybody significant that's injured, just coming back on Tampa's defense that we don't know about?
Yeah, I mean, outside linebacker Shaquille Barrett's lost for the season. He's been out for a little while now, but they've had a really hard time really replacing that pass rush ability. And going back to Dallas, I mean, in week 1, he was a guy that caused a lot of noise for the Dallas Cowboys offense. Vita Vea is a guy who's been banged up. You know, he should be fine to play, but how effective is he really going to be, and how much can they really rely on him? And that secondary, I mean, that secondary has been decimated at times. I mean, you look back at some of the games, the Monday nighter against the New Orleans Saints, for example, playing with 2 backup safeties, neither of them as good in coverage as either of the starters that they lost, including their starting strong safety, who's actually better in coverage than their backup free safety. So it kind of tells you what the New Orleans Saints are really kind of going up against. And then, you know, those cornerbacks too. Carlton Davis has been battling some things. Jamel Dean has been in and out of the lineup with injuries, and Zion McCollum, the rookie, a lot of potential, but he's definitely a rookie. And you know, if he's forced into action, I fully expect Dak Prescott to target him as much as he can.
Yeah.
The linebackers are still right. I'm sorry.
Linebackers are good. Yeah, Levante David is doing his thing. Devin White is, you know, one of the most electric linebackers. Tony Pollard certainly could possibly do some things against him in the right scenario, so we'll see. But Devin White is also a guy that during the 2020 playoffs and Super Bowl run really stepped up for the Buccaneers defense. So that's, you know, he saw that $100 million contract that Roquan Smith got, and going back to the NFL scouting combine, Devin White said he wanted to be the first $100 million off-ball linebacker. Well, he's not going to be the first, but he might be the next, and a strong playoff performance can certainly help him do that.
I was just gonna say, I think about you bring up Vea, and I'm like, I did hear that he's on the way back. He's not gonna be 100%, but we'll be ready to go. And then I think about his direct matchup, Biotish, our center, who was out with a high ankle sprain for like the last 3 games, is back. He's not 1,000% either. So it's like, when worst come to worst, that could still be potential problems, because that guy has just been wrecking in interior offensive lines for a very long time. Even at not 100%, I'm still very nervous about that. Yeah. But the thing I like is that the fact that he's back, now we can actually move that line back around to what worked. Tyler Smith being a left tackle was the best thing going for us. I mean, he had a few penalties here and there, but he went from being the most flagged in FBS to like really truly holding his own. And so I'm interested to see if he's lined back up there, where you actually put Tyler. I mean, the other guy, Tyron Smith. That Tyler and Tyron. I'm interested to see where they put Tyron Smith. You know, like, does it put everything back to now McGovern's at left guard? Because we have to move a lot of stuff around, which could also be a key to disaster, a recipe for disaster against a team like Washington, who we didn't run well against the first time. Even though we had that game kind of in hand, we didn't run the ball well against them the first time. So I'm interested to see kind of being back full strength. I mean, we lost Terrence Steele for the year, and he was holding it down over there on the opposite of Zach. So I don't know, man. It makes me feel a little more encouraged. We picked up Xavier Rhodes to be the opposite cornerback. I'm hearing he's the roughhousing guy, he's the bump and run guy, but he can't run. So I'm like, what? Like it's just the way that Sam was able to pick on that left corner off the muscle.
Yeah.
What do you think Tom Brady's gonna do if you aren't in position or if you're not shading properly? It can still be the same type of problems, man. So I'll be watching this game, like said, watch the national championship at the home at the comfort of my own home, to where I can cuss and cry, because I know, like, I kind of hate to say I know what's gonna happen, but I want to do it at the comfort of my own. Hey, that look kind of dope. What they say? They only hate us because they ain't us. Oh, that's hard. I like that. I ain't gonna lie. I like that, player. I like that. They only hate us because they ain't us. And the way I want to. Hey, look, I might be cussing like Kirby Smart was cussing. You understand me?
Ooh.
Yeah,
man. To my ready to run through a brick wall, man. That
we lose this game, I will be ready to run through a brick wall.
Well, okay. I was going to say, speaking of David, if Tampa tragically loses this game, right?
Oh, that would be a great tragedy.
Yeah, it'd be tragic. Question: what do you think is going to happen in the offseason with Tampa?
That is a question. I honestly think that Sean Payton and Tom Brady are trying to do this thing. They tried to do it in 2020. Tom Brady was going to go to New Orleans, and Drew Brees retired and play for Sean Payton in New Orleans. And then when that didn't work out, 2021 offseason, again, Sean Payton steps away from the Saints. Tom Brady steps away from the Buccaneers. The Miami Dolphins are trying to coordinate a trade to the rights for both of those guys as they're trying to make their trade. Coach Flores rightfully files his lawsuit and kind of airs out everything going on in Miami, blows up that entire deal, because that's essentially when Sean Payton and Tom Brady said, we're not jumping into bed with you in the middle of this firestorm. So go deal with your mess. We'll talk later. The Dolphins have lost their first round draft pick because of that whole ordeal. Tom Brady's a free agent now, after this season. He doesn't have to be traded. There are no rights to worry about. Sean Payton's rights are obviously on the market. I think the two of them are going to try it again. I think they're, third time is a charm. I think they're going to look to go to the same place together, play, or execute football operations together. So wherever Sean Payton lands, and genuinely believe that maybe that they're going to try to do that again. I don't know exactly where that's going to be, because some of these options, they're kind of in tricky situations. Dallas Cowboys obviously are a popular destination. Sean Payton, the way they do with Dak Prescott and his contracts. The Chargers of Justin Herbert are another situation.
Goodness.
So I don't know, but I get the feeling that Tom and Sean are going to try to make this thing happen again.
I can see that.
Wherever that is.
Something I thought about, though, honestly, was some type of swap where, if don't mind my 2-year-old, some type of swap where Lamar doesn't, he wants to get paid. So maybe you franchise, I don't know, you do something where Dak goes there, Lamar comes here. I'm thinking of some outside stuff. And this is if Dak plays horribly. The only way you're getting rid of Dak now is if you trade him. And I don't know how much less success he can see, especially in coordination with Mike McCarthy coaching us under a table. You know what I'm saying? That they don't start trying to move some stuff around. It seems like Jerry is desperate to win. And how desperate are you? What measures are you willing to go to put the coach in place and or put a quarterback in place? So I don't think it's too far-fetched to think maybe we do some type of not sign and trade, but like we do whatever we got to do to get Sean and go from there. I don't know.
Certainly possible.
All right.
Is that one of them big hats?
What? No. I don't have it yet. Oh, you do. He do. I don't have it yet, and I'm trying to move David. Can you move David for me? Say it. Put him
No,
in
I
the
was
big
just, I
square.
was like, I could do it. I could do it, but
you
There
go.
we go. All right. That's the proper spot that you're supposed to be in. First off, let me say this. David, to you, I apologize for not being where I'm supposed to be. And then to my squad, you guys are the best. You handled that like professionals, like the guys I know you, the guys and lady that I know you guys
I
are.
was gonna say with them, huh?
Come on, Lady A. No,
Man,
you know
we
you
was
did your
moving
thing.
over to the Commanders.
Yeah. Oh, I heard the whole thing. So let me get a couple of questions in here, please, and thank you. All right. So with that being said, really, David, you were there on Sunday, and let's just say there are a couple of people I wanted to drag out of the stadium with me. One said kicker, one said offensive coordinator, one said punt returner. That's a slot gangster, a fair catch gangster. Let's play GM here for a second, okay? All this talk about David Carr and all these other free agents and things like that, and Ron Rivera saying he needs another quarterback. How would you address this quarterback situation?
The quarterback situation is going to be a fun one to look at because there's a lot of options, but there's also a lot of kind of caveats that go with it. And the tricky thing with Derek Carr is if you're talking about trading for Derek Carr, you've already got assets sunk into Carson Wentz, who's not even going to be on the roster by the time this offseason comes around. So you've already lost a third-round pick in the Carson Wentz trade. So you don't have that asset to use in any type of trade dealings. And now you're talking about losing even more. You could push some potentially to 2024, sure, but you're going to lose even more draft capital to take another crack at getting another veteran quarterback into the building. And it really kind of depends on how they feel about Sam Howell. And really, a lot of that isn't going to really rely on what he did in Week 18. Some of it certainly will be impacted by Week 18's performance. But a lot of it's just how he's carried himself throughout the season, prepared, practiced, and performed as a professional inside the building. And that's stuff that I don't have eyes on, but so we just have to kind of lean on what everybody else is saying. But I can tell you that, the guys in the locker room like Sam, he's conversational. They talk to him, they come up to him, he goes up to them. Like there's no awkwardness. There's no sign to believe that the locker room doesn't like Sam Howell. So that's probably the best way you can put it. Now, what are his study habits and all that stuff? Is he punctual? I can't tell you that, unfortunately. That's inside stuff that we don't have access to. So that's going to be part of it too, because we bring in Derek Carr. Derek is, if he's traded, first of all, he's got a no trade clause in his contract, so he can choose to a certain extent where he goes in that fashion. I don't think he's going to waive it to go to a team that doesn't look at him as their true number one. And you go back to when Carson Wentz came in, Ron, that's our quarterback, that's our guy, this is the guy we chose for, we're riding with him. There was never competition or any doubt. That's what Derek is looking for, is a situation like that. So if the Commanders want Sam to be able to compete, I don't know that Derek Carr is the guy. Furthermore, if you do want to go after Derek Carr, the smartest way to do it, and what I expect the rest of the league honestly to do, is not trade for him, force the Raiders to release him in order to avoid that $40 million guarantee that kicks in February 15th. If that's the case, then you go to the negotiating table with Derek Carr, and now you're talking about contract negotiations, and he really has full control over where he ends up. Again, I think he still looks for a quarterback one situation. The good thing you have on your side is that he's got a little bit of that guaranteed money in his pocket from the Raiders, so he can afford, if need be, to take lesser money up front, kick some of the money back so that you can manage salary cap a little bit easier. Not saying he's going to take pennies, but he can afford to take a little bit less to get the right opportunity to really show the Raiders that they messed up. Now, at the same time, Derek Carr is a very emotional, very empathetic, very spiritual person, so I don't know how he feels about the Washington Commanders' current situations. The ownership situation also kind of plays a part into that. I think when you're talking about a veteran quarterback that kind of gets to pick between multiple suitors, so that whole situation is also something to monitor. If you want Sam Howell to compete, but you're still obviously looking for a veteran, which the team has already made clear that they are looking for another veteran option, I think the two that you have to keep an eye on the most are Jimmy Garoppolo and Ryan Tannehill. And I don't know how anybody feels about those two guys, but those are two guys that could come in, be professional, and really you're looking for someone who can drive the car, not be the hero. And I think, honestly, from a veteran quarterback standpoint, that might be where the Commanders are best looking, because time and time again, they brought in a guy who is either supposed to be the hero or wants to be the hero. You look at the quarterbacks Ron Rivera has had, they're either first-round draft picks, so they're expected to lead the franchise into new glory days, or they're veteran quarterbacks who want to be the savior This team, they're defensive minded. They want to run, obviously. So if you want that, you need a quarterback that doesn't want to be the hero, but wants to just be the facilitator, wants to be the point guard. Jimmy Garoppolo is that kind of a guy. Ryan Tannehill is that kind of a guy. The question is, how much talent can they really bring and how much effectiveness can they really bring? But again, if you're looking for Sam Howell to compete with a veteran, you're not talking about bringing in a blue chip veteran quarterback, because if he's a blue chipper, Sam Howell's not going to compete.
I got a
How
quick
about-
question. Wait, let me
I was
ask a
about
quick
to say-
question. When you were talking about the contract,
Mm.
if they negotiated a buyout, if he negotiated a buyout, what would it do with his dead cat numbers? Would it just make it disappear? What would happen with his dead cat numbers?
I mean, in theory, there are some rules that allow them to kind of like not necessarily renegotiate, but restructure that contract. But players aren't really. He's not going to give up the guarantees that he's got in that contract for the Raiders, and that's where your dead cap comes in. So it's there's really no way for the Raiders to minimize their loss other than moving Derek Carr before February 15th, because that's when, like I said, more of his guarantees go into effect. So they have to move him one way or another, trade or release. They've got to move him before.
Okay.
All right. So my thing was pretty much, why are we not looking at the good luck charm that is running around the NFL known as Teddy Bridgewater? Because wherever Teddy goes, that team eventually finds their successor, right? And then I'm looking at Jacoby Brissett as well, just like Roger Smith here. Roger Smith says, if the OC position is elevated from within, why can't we look at bringing in an unrestricted free agent like Stetson Bennett? I think Stetson Bennett's going to get drafted. And he said, and a Jacoby Brissett for cheap. Like, I can think of a ton of people. And Roger, listen, Roger, you're right in my wheelhouse right now. You're in my thoughts. You're in my mind, because his next one is, we could fix the offensive line, which is what I'm thinking. Since we're talking about having a young quarterback and a young drafted or unrestricted free agent center, that doesn't match well. You would need to bring in a free agent center with experience or something like that, or trade for a center. I'd rather trade for a center than a quarterback. That money's totally different. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, and then we need to fix that interior of the line and protect Sam or whoever is competing for the job. Why are we not looking at like those quarterbacks on the cheap, and let Sam and whoever it may be compete?
Well, they certainly will. I mean, any quarterback that's available, I would say, is not off the table from a Commander standpoint. Now, some of these players may just not want to come into the situation, and then that's they're kind of their prerogative to do or to decide one way or the other. But I mean, the Washington Commanders, I promise you, Tom Brady's name is going to come out of Martin Mayhew's or Ron Rivera's mouth at some point in time. Now, whether Tom Brady would actually come to the Washington Commanders franchise, a lot of people would probably scoff the idea and say that's not really a feasible possibility. But I promise you, the Commanders are going to talk about every name in existence. And Teddy Bridgewater certainly could be one of those guys. I would say that Teddy Bridgewater's limitations in his arm are going to remind them a little too much of a quarterback that they've already known that they've not had success with. Jacoby Brissett is probably more likely, in my opinion, to be, if you got to go between Teddy and Jacoby, I think Jacoby Brissett is more likely to be the guy. But I think the way people look at Jacoby Brissett is he is a backup veteran quarterback, good for the locker room, good for mentoring, good for teaching. So that's more so of a, let's bring Sam into the fold as a starter with Jacoby supporting him as a veteran mentor. Whereas I think Ryan Tannehill and potentially Jimmy Garoppolo are guys who could compete to start. Force Sam Howell to, if he's going to be quarterback number one in week one, it's because he took it, not because he was given it. And potentially, unfortunately, a 2-2, 1-3, 1-4 start to the season. Maybe you see Sam Howell come in after the first quarter of the year, give him a little bit of a ramp up to the regular season, and then see what he can do from there. But the offensive line absolutely has to be dealt with and has to be addressed in some way, shape, or form. A center that should be kept an eye on. And again, it's early in the draft evaluation season, so things are going to flip a lot. But Minnesota Golden Gophers interior offensive lineman John Michael Schmitz is a guy that certainly should be on people's radar. He's a guy that can play guard, can play center.
Big 10.
Yeah.
Big 10 guy.
And when you look at Sam Howell, I mean, look at some of the classic combos out there. Peyton Manning, Jeff Saturday are kind of one that go back. But you bring in a first round center to anchor your offensive line, and you pair him with a guy like Sam Howell potentially, and try to build yourself a quarterback center combo that you can have for 10 plus years if it goes
Wait.
right. But there's,
Wait.
Yeah.
I listened to this guy. Named he's a famous GM in the NFL. He has this show that comes on the Sirius XM, and he says, you never put a rookie quarterback with a rookie center
my office, please.
because Sage, you gotta mute yourself when you do that. Oh, there you go. All right, says you never put your a rookie quarterback and a rookie center. I mean, Sam has one game under his belt and a whole year of experience. So are we ready to jump off that curve now and put a rookie with a rookie pretty much?
Well, and that's part of the risk that you have to evaluate as a talent evaluator. How much of a rookie curve do you think a guy like that prospect could have? If you think the rookie curve is going to be slightly steep, if you think he's a pro-ready type of guy, those are kind of the decisions, like you said, that you have to go through. Now, maybe it's a situation where you bring in a veteran center or a veteran guard that could shift. I mean, Wes Schweitzer, not the greatest center in the National Football League by any means, but serviceable, sure. Especially when you look at the depth of the offensive line across the National Football League. I mean, going to the left tackle position, I've said time and time again, there's not 32 starting caliber left tackles in the National Football League in the way that NFL teams would want. So in some ways, you kind of have to take what you can get. You can't just bring in starting caliber offensive linemen in all 5 positions, unfortunately. It's just not the way that it works. But if you bring in said veteran, or you prep Wes Schweitzer to potentially be a veteran bridge at the center position, draft a guy like that, develop him. Again, it's more of a long-term process there or projection there. And that's kind of the question is Ron, even when on the hot seat, I will give Ron Rivera some credit in some past teams, is in past situations, specifically, obviously, Carolina, not really the kind of guy that mortgages the franchise's future just to try to save his own butt. So you could still see him make some moves that kind of look like they're better suited for the long term versus the short term, even though he looks like a guy who may not have a whole lot of long term ahead of him if he doesn't get this thing right in the short term. So that's something that could possibly happen. And you can also see that happen in a trade back. Ohio State's DeJuan Jones is another offensive lineman. He's a tackle type of player who could push Sam Cosmi into the inside of the offensive line, where a lot of people feel like he's more suited. And that could involve a trade back similar to what we saw in the first round of 2022.
All right.
I have a question.
Let's
talk coaching. Okay. Now, I wish Ron was gone, but, fact of the matter, he's here. And, but lucky for us, Scott is gone, right? So Ron
she had a whole funeral. I
had a funeral for him. Celebration of,
life.
The funerals are supposed to be celebration of life. So I celebrated. But Ron has a big meeting this upcoming week with the Snyders and a couple important people. What do you think the coaching changes are going to be as we go into this off season? We go into them shopping around pretty much, and actually give us your idea of who a good offensive coordinator would be, and as far as working with whatever quarterback we have. Let's say Sam. I think Sam will be here to stay.
Yeah, I mean, if off the cuff, I haven't done enough research on all the available offensive coordinators to kind of have a true number one candidate. But at this point in time, with what I have been able to look into, Jets offensive coordinator, former Jets offensive coordinator Mike LaFleur is probably my favorite. The thing about him is, he's got some cross exposure with Martin Mayhew, so there's some experience there, some familiarity there. The thing that's kind of odd about that, again, you kind of talk about the balance of trying to succeed today and also playing for the future. LaFleur looks like the kind of guy who might kind of be an interim candidate if the ownership situation changes and say things don't go well right off the bat and a decision is made. LaFleur could be a guy that also becomes the interim head coach, and that would be kind of an interesting situation. But I know he gets a lot of blame for kind of what happened with the Jets towards the tail end of the season. But I look at a lot of that earlier success, and I see an offensive coordinator that strives to put his quarterback and his offense in the best situation they can for the talent that they have on the field, and is willing to change and shift along with his roster. When Zach Wilson was in there, their offense looked kind of a certain way. And then when he was replaced, the offense kind of looked a little bit of a different way. And you can kind of see some of those quick twitch changes that he made there. A popular name also is Todd Downing, the offensive coordinator that was fired from the Tennessee Titans. I'm not really a fan of that potential match, to be quite honest with you, for a lot of reasons, and one of them being that Taylor Lewan, upon finding out that Todd Downing was fired, decided to praise Todd Downing as a family man and nothing else. And that to me, that speaks volumes about the coach and the story that came out about Coach Downing during the season, having an interaction with a player saying, can't wait to be with you for years to come. And he said, oh, are you going to be, somewhere else with me down the line? Basically saying he knew he was about to get fired this season. I'm not really sure. I get on board with that type of an attitude. Mike Shula, obviously, because of the familiarity there in Carolina that I know a lot of fans don't like, is also a popular target. And the last one that I'll talk about here is Ben Standing of The Athletic. I got to give him all the credit because I wasn't thinking about it. He brought it up recently. Eric Bieniemy of the Kansas City Chiefs. If you look at Mike Kafka from the New York Giants, he's now one of the hot head coaching candidate, potentially getting an interview with the Houston Texans at least. He comes from the Andy Reid tree, didn't call plays in Kansas City because Andy Reid calls the plays, so he moved to the New York Giants with Coach Dable, called plays this year, and is getting a lot of credit for that system that was built around the New York Giants, what they did and what they didn't have as well. So he's getting a lot of credit for that and kind of showed his play calling ability and game management ability moving out from under Andy Reid, using the knowledge, but also using the execution. Eric Bieniemy, that could be kind of the bridge between him being a head coaching candidate every year and being a head coach someday, is going to a team where he gets to not only be a part of crafting the offensive game plan, but calling the plays, which he's not going to do in Kansas City. So if he's going to do that, he's got to go somewhere else. It could be in Washington.
Could the same thing be said as far as Byron Leftwich? Like he's not going to be a head coach in Tampa, so he may need to go somewhere else.
Yeah, he's not going to be a head coach in Tampa. Byron's stock as a head coach may be down a bit.
Maybe down. Okay, so let's do this while we got you, while we still have you. I don't know how much longer we have you because you've given us plenty of time, and I really do appreciate it. Let's go Super Bowl picks, okay? We're going to get everybody's Super Bowl picks right now. Of course, we'll ask the rest of our guests that we're going to have here, but you're our first guest that we're going to ask this of right now, and hopefully you can get this right. Who is your Super Bowl representative from the AFC side?
From the AFC, I gotta stick with the Bills. I'm not gonna lie, my faith in that pick is a little bit shaken. The Chiefs are definitely turning things on, but the Bengals are definitely turning things on. I went with the Bills in the beginning of the season. I've seen some reasons to come off of that pick, but I'm going to stick with the Bills for right now anyway.
I think it's because of the 3 situation which is going on, which is giving them a lot of energy, and I won't fault you for that, but I'll tell you you're wrong right now. You can listen to me later, and I'll explain why. All right, who is your representative for the NFC side of this thing?
I think it's either the Philadelphia Eagles or the San Francisco 49ers, and that's really a hard game to project if we even get to see that game because, again, anything can happen in the playoffs, right? But I think that what Nick Sirianni and the Philadelphia Eagles are doing offensively is they attack opponents intelligently. They don't kind of the opposite to what a lot of defensive-minded coaches do. They don't try to necessarily impose their will on other people and say, this is who we are, so we're going to shove it down your throat. They more so look at their opponent and try to say, how can we get around your strengths and how can we exploit your weaknesses? And in what I really like about the Philadelphia Eagles is in game, they have shown a very good ability to go into the locker room, come out of the locker room with a lot of adjustments, and their players have shown the football IQ necessary to execute those adjustments, which is really impressive, honestly, if you consider or if you look at the youth on their roster. I mean, the quarterback is young, but so are a lot of their skill positions. And the fact that they can go into halftime with a very short period of time to really and come out with widespread game plan adjustments and execute them as well as they do. So I'm going to go Eagles because I think that in that matchup, they'll be able to do some things to adjust to what the 49ers are doing. But the 49ers, I mean, D'Amico Ryans is carrying his water. Kyle Shanahan is one of the all-time great adjusters. I know the Atlanta Falcons fans don't necessarily agree with that from experience. But that is a chess match that I definitely want to see play out in the NFC. And honestly, Usually I go defense, but I'm going to go with the Eagles on that one.
All right. So Meta gave me a quick lesson. He says, don't bash the famous guest pick, interview 101. Meta, I was not bashing
right.
them. I'm just, it's called sports. It's called banter. That's what it's called. Okay. Let's get everyone's, I'll go last here. Lady A, your Super Bowl picks, please.
So I'm looking at the Chiefs and the 49ers.
All right. The Chiefs and the 49ers. Okay.
Don't ask me who's going to win yet because I don't know.
Okay. And then now let's go with say it. Oh, you got yourself muted.
I'm still a big fish.
You still big?
It's out of luck.
Come on, man. Are you kidding me?
Hey, give me you know what, from the AFC side, give me Kansas City and Philly.
Kansas City and Philly. All right, okay. Ant, who you got?
I think when push comes to shove, I really believe that San Francisco defense mixed with the run game can go into Philly and take them down. I really do. I don't know. I'm not saying that Philly's a pretender because they are not, but I think I don't know how healthy Jalen really is. And I think it's going to matter, in his very next game. I think we're going to really see if he can really wing it the way that he was winging it. So I think it'll end up being San Francisco versus the Bills. I think, and I'm struggling to not say the Bengals because I believe that the Bengals can beat Kansas City any time of the day. I think that the Bengals can beat anybody. But it's the DeMar thing, and I think they find a way to get over the hump and get there. So San Francisco, Buffalo.
San Francisco and Buffalo. Okay, check it out. Y'all are really great, but I got to tell y'all, here's the Super Bowl. Book it. Everybody should make their reservations that are fans of these teams right here. First, I'm going to start on the NFC side, okay? And it does not take 3 years to win in this league. 5 years to win. I'm sorry. It doesn't take 5 years to win in this league. We have a coach in Philadelphia, Nick Sirianni, who stumbled and bumbled through his press conference, but his team came out and they smack you up and down the field. I think Washington showed them what they needed to fix in their defense, and that team plays for each other, just like David said earlier. So book Philadelphia there. Book Philadelphia. Now, this guy on the AFC side is not afraid of anybody, and he has beaten Patrick Mahomes this year, and he was all set to beat Josh Allen, which they're going to have another rematch in a neutral location, which is a prelude to a Super Bowl because the Super Bowl is a neutral location. Yes, book the Cincinnati Bengals for the Super Bowl. So I have a Philly, Cincinnati Super Bowl. And, I mean, these coaches are young, paving their own path, and they have quarterbacks that are not afraid of anything.
The neutral site is Atlanta.
And, which is Atlanta, which said he's going to get us tickets to. So guess what? First String Podcast will be.
Again, say don't fly. I don't know why. Say don't fly.
Said don't fly, but
said don't fly.
He's driving. All right. He'll be driving. He'll be lead footing it all the way there. All right. We have some other things to talk about. The press conference with Ron Rivera talking about this 2-to-1 run ratio. All right. Listen, I said this on Ref the District's podcast yesterday. I said, if you believe that Ron Rivera is going to have a 2-to-1 ratio, I have a $500,000 underwater property that I would love to sell you guys. Right. So who's ready to buy a $500,000 property built underwater. You know, I got that for sale for you guys. If you believe this 2-to-1 run ratio is a real thing. And my next question is this, David.
Mm.
Has anyone tested Ron for CTE lately? Because we are not in the 80s. He may have had one too many hits on the noggin.
Pick. You worse than me.
I'm dead serious. I think he thinks he's in the 80s.
I mean, it's an older school mentality, certainly, but honestly, it's one that pretty much every defensive-minded head coach shares. To be quite honestly, that's the classic defensive-minded head coach stance is control the clock, run the ball, and win with defense. And that's, you know, it's not so much the philosophy that kind of is confusing to me anyway. It's more so how that philosophy marries with what they've done with the roster. Because when you look at the lack of commitment to the offensive line, when you look at the lack of commitment to bringing in blocking tight ends, I think John Bates is probably the best blocking tight end that the Commanders have.
On the whole roster.
He's not exactly a great blocking tight end, adequate, sure, but he's not a great blocking tight end by any means. You know, meanwhile, to just talk about the other team that I covered, look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They have a very similar philosophy. And again, a defensive-minded head coach. And they go out and they draft O'Keefe out of Minnesota, who really coming out of the draft was basically just a really big tight end. You know, a left tackle that was a little bit thinner and a little bit faster, but he's actually turned out to be quite a decent, I won't say good, but a decent receiver as well. You know, typically if you want to run the ball, you know, Jay Gruden was on 106.7 and kind of talked about, if you want to run the ball almost exclusively, you've got to have road graders up front, and you got to have tight ends that can move people, and they don't have tight ends that can move people on a consistent basis. Their offensive line has very little dedicated to it as far as draft capital is concerned. So it's just kind of confusing because, you know, again, I know a lot of people are celebrating the departure of Scott Turner, but, you know, if you want your offense coordinator to run a run-heavy game plan, not spending first-round picks or second-round picks on the offensive line on a consistent basis. I know Sam Cosmi is a second-round pick. Not going hard after some key free agents and then not bringing him blocking tight ends. Really not setting up your play caller for success if that's what you want him to do. And
right.
So that's where it's more confusing to me. You know, again, Coach Gruden said, every offensive play caller in the National Football League, Patrick Mahomes, you know, Andy Reid wants to do nothing but run the ball the entire game, because typically that means you're winning, you're dominating the time of possession, and the opposing defense is tired as all get out. So everybody wants to do that. But if that's going to be your philosophy, as Ron Rivera put it, the roster moves don't really match from where I'm sitting.
Fine. That's what I believe as well. David, check your private messages, please. On there. I believe that it doesn't match up, and I do believe that we have electrifying skill positions with Jahan, Terry, Curtis Samuels, and I think those positions could get even better. And we hadn't even touched the pass catching tight ends, such as Turner that we drafted, and Logan had a bad year because okay, perfect. Logan had a bad year. I think the knee wasn't quite right, and he played hurt a lot during the season. Mm-hmm. So my next question for you is, a lot of people are saying that Scott Turner was a scapegoat, right? I feel myself that the first New York game, the second New York game, the San Francisco game, and the Giants game are the things that got him fired. And why would you say? I would say because you are the offense coordinator. You are responsible, because the way that Ron does it, he puts his people in position to do the game plans and things like that, right? Because he's more of a manager of his coaches rather than a manager of the team. Your game plan was flawed because you left premier edge rushers one-on-one with your tackle, who I still believe was hurt, and Leno. I think Leno was playing hurt later in the season or beat up, and it cost us a game. And then you had 2 weeks to prepare after the tie in New York, and then every time someone played us, they became NFC Player of the Week. I think those were all fireable offenses. And Ron Rivera should own a little bit of this as well. How do you feel about this situation?
And the reality of the NFL is that no one person is ever to blame 100%, right? But
Right.
when you talk about leadership positions, there's a difference between being to blame and then being responsible. And as the offensive coordinator, you're responsible for the offense, and that's just that's the bottom line. It may not be your fault per se, but it's your responsibility. So you're going to be the one that's held accountable first, because you can't replace your entire offensive roster in one offseason, but you can't replace your offensive coordinator. And that's that may be unfair to a certain extent, but that's honestly just the way that the business is going to work. There's a lot to unpack with Scott Turner and his job. I think really at the end of the day, look, the press box was talking about Scott Turner outsmarting himself long before players went off the record with Sam Fortier of the Washington Post to say the same thing. And that's something that you've seen consistently, right? It's almost kind of I think the opponent knows that we should do this, so we're not going to do that. It's putting Antonio Gibson in to run on a 4th and 1 when Brian Robinson is standing on the sideline. It's a sweep, a pitch play or a sweep or an edge rush on 3rd and 1, 4th and 1. It's not using your 6'4", 6'5", whatever. I can't remember off the top of my head how tall Carson really is, but it's not using him on 4th and 1 situations or 3rd and 1 situations to sneak. When Jason Kelsey has famously made everybody aware that's a play that works 92% of the time. It's just things like that, and you hear it blatantly. Why was Antonio Gibson on the 4th and 1 run and not Brian Robinson? Well, because with Antonio back there, we thought that the defense would assume we weren't going to do what we did. Okay, well, the problem is it's because it doesn't make sense that you would do it that way. You know what I mean? So there's certainly some blame there, but at the same time, you also have to put some ownership on the quarterback. When you have, I know a lot of people look at like Charles Leno or maybe whoever's playing right tackle for that game. When you have a free rusher off that side, a lot of times that's by design, and the quarterback knows that's going to happen and knows that that's going to be there. It's part of the play call, and the onus on the quarterback is get rid of the ball.
Get rid of the ball.
You have an unblocked rusher that's coming in, and there's nothing that's going to stop that from happening. You have to get rid of the ball. So that you would put specifically on the quarterback in that situation. But again, you're the play caller. If your quarterback demonstrates to you that they're not going to follow that principle of the play call, don't call that play.
Don't call that play. All right. I know I'm sort of hogging this a little bit, but I was late. So I'll find myself later and everything like that for you guys. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Perfect. Thank you. So with that being said, 4th and 1, just like Metaphor just brought up here. Was it one of the guys in the chat brought it up. They said the 4th and 1 plays, and even you said that too. Does Ron Rivera not listen to the play calls? Does he not feel like, hey, sometimes you need to say, no, stop doing it? I mean, yes, you are the head coach. Do you not have meetings with your coordinators and the rest of your coaching staff? And I mean, Nino Brown did when his generals was messed up. Nino brought a dog in and said, hey, somebody in here snitching. Why did Ron not do that? Bring them in, all dressed in black, and tell them that next time we have a 4th and 1, you don't want the outcome of this. Doc calls it linebacker Ron. When linebacker Ron gets upset, right? Why did linebacker Ron not address this with his coaches? You know what I mean? Like he fined Jack Del Rio for Twitter, but he won't fine Scott for a bonehead 4th down play.
Yeah, I think, honestly, I think Ron got his hands in the mix, not just offensively, but also defensively more this season than he has ever before, at least here in Washington. That's not to say that he's completely involved in kind of taking charge. And, that's kind of a stylistic thing for every head coach. I know Bruce Arians from time to time, Byron's basically executing the game plan, calling the plays as they go along. But on occasion, you'd say, Byron, take a shot. Byron, run it up the middle. Byron, run a sweep, whatever. Every once in a while, he'd just say, we're going to do this right now. Now, there's benefits to that, and there's problems to that. The benefit is your head coach now has a little bit more control over the flow of the game, right? And making sure that the overall vision is being attacked. The downside to that is if your offensive coordinator is trying to set something up, you might actually be getting in his way of playing the chess match that he's trying to play by stepping in every once in a while and say, okay, you're going to move this piece this way. So there's a plus and a negative to everything. I think before this season, the approach in Washington was really more. And again, this is just my impression, right? This isn't a confirmed report or anything, but I think that it's been a lot more of Scott, you run the offense, Jack, you run the defense. We'll come together. We'll kind of have the overall mission statement, right? Here's the intent. Here's what we want to exploit. Here's what we want to be able to do. You two go run your units the way you need to. And Ron more so advises than he does control. I think this season you saw him take a little bit more control. Maybe it was too little too late. I think the William Jackson benching was more Ron than it was Jack. And I think that later on in the season, you saw Ron get a little bit more involved in some of the decision-making on the offense. Again, maybe not as early as everybody would have wanted him to, and even not to the full extent that you would want him to. But I think that's the way Ron wants to run his team. He wants his offensive coordinator to run the offense. He wants his defense coordinator to run the defense. He runs the ship and kind of gives the overall picture. You guys go paint the picture.
Right.
All right.
I do have one question.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I want to tell Pick he focused on the end of the season, towards the end of the season, to say Scott Turner was being terrible. I feel like he was being terrible day one, but that's just me. But David, I have one question for you. It is a 2-word question, and we're just gonna put the question mark at the end. Joey Sly. Go.
Joey Sly. Joe. First of all, Joey's a great dude. I just always want to put that out there. It's really strange because Joey Sly had an amazing November, and then essentially as soon as he became the NFC Special Teams Player of the Month, it just fell apart. The field before the game was not a problem. The flags at the top of the goalposts were not a problem.
Yep.
I don't know. Maybe there was like a middle zone of wind going on there. I don't think so. You know, I honestly thought about asking Joey at the end of that game, like, you know, what the hell, man? I mean, he's a very forthright guy. Like when you talk to him, he's very upfront. He's very honest. Like going into the Philadelphia game on Monday night, the upset win that they had over the Eagles. He talked to me about the wind conditions and how it was just very peaceful, very calm going into the game. And then almost as soon as kickoff happened, this just weird swirling wind just started. And both he and Jake Elliott of the Eagles were both kind of sitting on sidelines going, what the heck? And they had warmed up and practiced in conditions they're now not playing in. Now, that game he actually did really well. So maybe that's what he needs is a little bit of that what the heck factor. But I decided to leave him be. You know, I got to the locker room. He was obviously, you know, feeling a certain kind of way, which you want. Honestly, you want. It shows that he cares. But I was like, you know what? It's the end of the season. Let's focus on the future. And whether Joey Sly is the lone kicker in training camp next week is not going to. That decision won't be made based off of Week 18 alone. That decision will be made on the entire body of work. I don't think he'll be the only kicker in training camp. But not just because of Week 18, but because of the entire body of work.
Yeah. All right, perfect.
I agree there.
I gotta ask you before you run, what game are you most excited about in Super Wild Card Weekend?
The game that I'm most excited about, that's tough because I don't want to say Bucs and Cowboys, although, I mean, look, Tom Brady and Dallas Cowboys, that's why the game's on Monday night. It's because the Dallas Cowboys, whether you like it or not, has the biggest fan base out there, is the biggest television draw. It's why the Commanders, the Cowboys, and the Eagles all played at 425 on Week 18. If they could have, they would have put Cowboys, Commanders in prime time. I promise you.
Yeah.
Because it just is what it is. Buffalo, Miami was honestly the most exciting, but unfortunately with 2 outs. I got to be honest with you guys. This wild card slate doesn't really do it for me. There's not a lot of games I'm super excited to see outside of the fact that it's the playoffs. So I'm going to go with Cowboys and Bucs just because I don't want to lie to you, but that's Giants Vikings, I suppose, has the potential to be the closest game.
It's
I guess
highest scoring game.
Yeah. I mean, the Seahawks don't do anything for me. It's just not. It's not the sexiest wild card round.
Well, I mean, when you talk about drama, though, Bucs Cowboys has the potential for the most drama because you don't know what Cowboys team is going to show up. So it's like, even being a fan, it's like, you know, what is Dak Prescott is going to show up. You know, his typical playoff deal is a couple picks in the first half, and then he plays phenomenally the second half. He'll give you a nice little run. So, but I just believe if he does that, Tom Brady's gonna put this game away. So, it's
Sounds
just
like
so much
Ant's
drama.
leaning towards his Cowboys losing on Monday night, which I am scared of that, sir.
Listen. You don't listen.
I was going to say he already said it.
I said a month ago that this is what's going to happen. It's the Cowboys. It's Dak Prescott. I just have no faith in that guy.
Well, you also said before anyone was paying attention that the Cowboys would make a run at the division title, and they were that close. They were that close.
I did say that.
You did. I will give you the
They
credit.
were close, but no cigar.
No cigar.
Hey, I'll tell you what,
cigar.
it's like smoking a cigarette instead of a cigar when you don't make the playoffs. So,
Oh, really?
yeah, that's what I think.
I wouldn't know. I don't smoke.
Yeah, she don't
your
smoke.
Your team's smoking on it. So that's
all
okay.
right. So listen. All right. So say it. You might want to pay attention to this one as well. And Bruce, you didn't put it in the chat, so I know you didn't know it. I got this one super squirrely past you. All right. There are 4 teams that are currently eligible for Hard Knocks. Atlanta Falcons and the Commanders are 2 of the 4 teams. The Chicago Bears and that other squad is... I'm blanking on that 4th squad right now. Is it the Saints? Is it the... Say it. You're muted, say it. You're muted.
It's the Jets, Washington, Chicago, and the Saints, not Atlanta.
There we go. It's not the Falcons?
Nope.
How did y'all fire your coach?
Nope.
You missed the playoffs 2 years in a row. Well,
they got in-game. I didn't know they had in-season Hard Knocks.
They do have in-season Hard Knocks, and you need to catch up.
That's kind of cool.
This is the second year they've done it, but are you guys ready to see the Commanders, who have dodged Hard Knocks for quite a while?
Yeah.
Like since Hard Knocks inception, they have dodged it. Are you guys ready? Because there are some juicy storylines. Chicago has some juicy storylines as well, but the Commanders' new owner could be on that sideline. Young Sam Howell versus some veteran versus another rookie. Chase Young coming back. What do y'all think? All that access, we can actually see Ron fold his arms a lot more and just stand there like this.
I think the Commanders got it. I mean, our teams have been in the headlines too much this season, so I feel like they got it.
A lot of drama, Yeah, I like it. What's the criteria for being eligible for Hard Knocks?
Missing the playoffs, not having a head coach change, not having a head coaching change. What are the other criteria? I think it's like missing the playoffs like 2 years in a row or something like that, and then not having a head coaching change. So yeah, the Falcons should have been on there, but I think they just got a new head coach.
I just wanted to hear the criteria.
Yeah, he wanted to be petty.
The Cowboys have been on Hard Knocks over and over and over again.
That's star power.
Twice.
That's not star power. That's being terrible.
Criteria is the criteria.
Trust me.
They've been on it twice.
That's all. It's absolutely being terrible.
No,
I don't know, David. Are you ready? Are you ready for this Hard Knocks? Do you think the Commanders will make the cut this year?
I don't see how they don't. I think HBO will do anything to get Sean Carter on their channel. So.
So you think Jay-Z is going to be one of the new owners?
And Bezos.
I don't know. I want Jay-Z to be one of the new owners. That would be potentially the greatest moment of my journalistic career, is to be able to be at a Jay-Z ownership press conference. So that's
first off,
I just need to make that happen.
If Jay-Z's there, Beyonce better definitely be on there. She better show up and she better get all the cameras. I mean, that would be a reason for us to start off the season 0-4, because Beyonce was here half the time during the preseason. We wasn't paying attention to the plays. None of that.
David, do you see why this franchise is the way it is?
What?
He's
bringing first off, Beyonce. If Beyonce was in Dallas,
about winning. I don't care about Beyonce. She's from Houston, Texas.
Of course, you
Close
don't.
Enough. I don't.
You tell that to your players.
I want to win. How about that?
She's not going to be there because she's going to be a distraction. Jay-Z is probably not going to be at any of the practices because he will be a distraction.
Are you kidding me? If I'm
I'm very
a
serious.
new owner of a franchise, I'm not only going to be there, I may be passing out the Gatorade and the water.
You
Gonna
can
be
be at
there.
the
Jay gonna be
games.
there for one of them shows. Jay gonna be there.
Right, for one of the shows, yes, but
Yeah, he gonna
for
be
the
there.
most part, now Beyonce's not going to be there. Not too often. They're not going to practice.
Hold on, Metaphor just said our new
what, Metaphor?
and they're gonna be dragging people, boy, because they are ruthless. The Beehive,
Yeah.
yo.
If we get the Beehive in our fan base, we are on it.
Man.
Oh yeah.
35 million or something like that.
Man,
merch might be crazy. That merch might just be crazy.
Man, it'll do nothing with football, but everything with Beyonce. Oh God.
And if Jay-Z's attached to it, it's got to have a level of success. I've always said, and when we talked about this earlier in the year, that's not a bad look because people that smart know to put the most qualified people in position. Yeah. So at least you can have guys who are vetted to be successful in what they do best. So,
hey, Roger Smith, who is Clear Lake Financial Group? Is that Jay-Z's and what's the Richie Rich guy with the spaceship? Bezos, is that their group?
Elon? Oh, or you talking about
no. Yeah, that would be Jeff Bezos. What is their group called? Does anyone know?
Oh, I'm not sure. I think what Commanders fans should be excited about, and I think something that maybe I don't know if it gets talked about a whole lot or enough, but what the National Football League has really done a really great job of is making sure that people that prospective owners are coming into it not just to make money, because the National Football League is going to make people a lot of money, but they want people who want to win. So if you go back to Stan Kroenke and when he wanted to move the St. Louis Rams rather to Los Angeles, the other NFL owners in the National Football League itself essentially made Stan Kroenke promise to them, swear to them, whatever you want to call it, that he's moving them to Los Angeles to make them a winner, to bring a Super Bowl to LA. You can't guarantee it's going to happen. Obviously, it did end up happening, but they didn't want Stan Kroenke to just move a team to Los Angeles just for the sake of getting the LA market, getting into California, doing all those things. So whoever comes in, again, we're kind of putting the cart before the horse right now, but assuming that the team does get sold, like we all expect it to, whoever comes in, they're going to the ownership panel is going to make sure that this is an owner or ownership group rather that is coming in with the intent of returning Washington to glory, not returning Washington to profitability. Now, with wins will come profits, of course. And also, and I kind of, tongue in cheek said Sean Carter, but if you look at Jay-Z, you look at Jeff Bezos, these are two guys who incredibly successful at business, but also they're incredibly successful at business because they go out to conduct their business to win. And it doesn't matter which venture they're in, which market they're in, which industry they're in, which fan base they're targeting, which demographic they're targeting. They make money because they win. They're not winning by making money. And I think that's a very important distinction for people to understand when you're going into this process.
All right. Well, that would be interesting, and definitely if Jay-Z and Bezos are there, I could absolutely see us getting Hard Knocks. I don't know when they have to determine who's going to be on Hard Knocks, but I think it should be after they decide who is going to be the new owner.
Yeah, I don't think a Dan Snyder owned team is getting Hard Knocks.
No.
Well,
somebody will see Dan Snyder looking at women crazy.
They want to see the drama. They do.
No. Hey, David, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it, man. All right, again, you can see David's work on Take Command podcast. I'm sorry, Locked On Commanders podcast and Locked On Bucs podcast. Also, his SI Fan Nation. He writes for Fan Nation. Thank you so much for being hospitable when we met and everything like that. I really do appreciate it, man.
No, absolutely. I appreciate meeting you guys. Appreciate the invitation to the show.
Hey, we look forward to having you back. Maybe we can get you around before the draft or something like that, and you can let us know what you think is going to go down there. All absolutely. Right, I will definitely stay in touch. We appreciate you for coming through and staying as long as you did. We really do.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be safe.
All right. Hey,
Thanks
don't
a lot
forget to
now.
give David a follow at his Twitter handle, which is right there as well, at dharrison82. Really good follow on Twitter. I just started following you. I mean, like I
wouldn't call me a really
stalking
good
on Twitter.
follow on Twitter, but I appreciate it. My Twitter game is not as good as some of the greats out there. But
Well, it's better than mine. Really, it's better than mine. So, all right, we appreciate it, David. Thank you.
all right,
All
thank you.
right, thanks.
Thanks, Dave.
All right.
Hey,
Oh, look. See, should we just let
I'm
Lady
ready.
A
I'm
speak?
always ready.
You're always ready. All right.
I'm always ready.
It is time for everyone's favorite part of the
Oh,
show.
Lord.
I had to now. In all seriousness, could you help me out? Because since I'm on my phone now, I can't.
I got you. I got
just
you.
help me out
All
a little
right.
bit with that.
Just say the word "picks the greatest" when you're ready for me to switch it up.
Oh no, I'll figure this out.
I got you. All right, here we go. Bam.
Don't worry. Okay. So listen, guys. Let me start this off by saying Mike McCarthy is not the blame for the Cowboys' loss on Monday. As the stat shows, he's won 24 games in the last 2 years. It's only been two teams, and that is the Bucs. The Bills, and I believe the Chiefs, who have won more games in the last 2 years. So if you're looking at the Cowboys, I understand. The head coach is going to have to take a lot of the blame. It's just that simple. If you pass or fail, like we kind of talked about with Ron, you're responsible for going and talking to Kellen Moore if he's not executing the game plan that equals success.
Right.
But at the end of the day, Mike McCarthy, for the position that he's been put in to run the Dallas Cowboys and be under Jerry Jones, he is not to blame. Rain Dakota Prescott will be the main reason that the Dallas Cowboys
Full
lose
government
this
plan?
game.
He gave his
Absolutely.
full government.
He always goes by his full government with me.
Yeah,
You
he
see
does.
that. A pick six in 3 out of the last 4 games. We can bring it back.
I got
A
you.
pick six in 3 of the last 4 games. You talk about the ultimate recipe for a disaster. We can't depend on our quarterback to make the right reads. You're looking at everybody except your main star receiver who has developed himself into being the guy, a top 10 receiver in this league, 1,300 yards,
He's coming to
over
Washington.
100 catches,
Coming to Washington.
over 100 catches, and 8 touchdowns. And by the way, could have been the spark that allowed you guys to be successful on last Sunday if you would have but targeted him. I don't understand the makeup of what's leading to you completely going to Noah, what's his name? Noah Brown?
You don't even know his name? Oh,
He's
boy.
forgettable. But it seems like this guy, like maybe he came over and massaged Dak's foot last year or a couple years ago when he was hurt. I have no clue. But you should never target Noah Brown, who also was the guy who dropped the ball in Jacksonville in overtime that ends up going to the defender's hand for a pick six. These type of things aren't acceptable.
That's not on Dak, though. That wasn't on Dak.
Hold on, let me get this out. It's nut cutting time. Okay, it's the playoffs.
What?
So let's get to it. Hit me again, Pick. Bring me back up. The Cowboys aren't as talent rich as they've been perceived. It's time for us to stop feeding into that narrative. The Cowboys aren't more talented than the Philadelphia Eagles. They aren't more talented than the San Francisco 49ers. They aren't more talented than the Chiefs. They aren't more talented than the Bills. These are all teams that we believe have the best shot of making a run in this playoffs. I'm sorry. With your quarterback being Dak Prescott, Rain Dakota Prescott, that's the first sign that you may not have what it takes to be successful in this league.
Disrespect.
Jerry Jones has proven time and time again it's more important to be worth more than every other franchise in the United States and in the world than being a true winner and a contender. So that's another reason why why I don't believe we're going to be successful. Because you say you want to win bad, but how bad do you really, really want to win? I don't buy it. When you give Dak Prescott $40 million, what was it, like $75 million for the first year? And this is coming out of him having a foot that looked like it was throwing a West Side Connection. I don't understand these things. So my last fact, I don't need that to be up there.
I got you anyway.
Tom Brady has never lost to the Cowboys. Never lost. Never lost. Do you understand me? And the one time that not him, forget him. The one time that Tony Romo had the opportunity and he actually executed and drove down the field and scored, you left Tom Brady over a minute and some change to drive down the field and get a game-winning field goal.
Mm-hmm.
This franchise is just a joke, okay? And as much as I can be a fan, the one thing that y'all should appreciate about me is that I'm a realist. I'm not saying the Cowboys are going to go on a run. If they won this game, this would be a lifetime achievement in my 20-something years of being a fan. It's just that bad, guys. I don't expect for him to lose again to us. If, like I said, if he does, I'd be surprised. It's Tom freaking Brady, who has more Super Bowls than Cowboys have playoff wins in his career. How about we just keep it that simple? So, thank you for listening to 5 Good Minutes with AntMoe. I'm sickened by this franchise. I don't think they're gonna win. But what do you say? Losers lose.
Questions for AntMoe. Get in
Hold
there.
on. Have times changed. At the beginning of the season, Dallas played Tampa Bay.
Mm-hmm.
I said, Tom Brady ain't never lost to y'all.
Mm-hmm.
And said Dallas money line or something, or we went with the spread or something.
It was a new season. It was a new season. In Lady A, if you'll recall correctly, I said this Dallas Cowboys defense will be the straw that stirs this drink. And they did what they were supposed to do. So if you look at that game, they didn't score but 3 points in the second half. And that 3 points that they got was in the third quarter. Mm-hmm. So who knew that Dak Prescott was going to play like he didn't have an arm or a hand? And then it turns out that was correct because his thumb went missing or broken in 3 places, however you want to look at it.
Oh man!
But I've been consistent in what I said. I did think we were going to win the division. They, that was that close, but to Ced's credit, turns out Jalen Hurts was the best quarterback in the NFC this year, in the NFC East this year.
The starting quarterback,
the best starting quarterback. Yeah, I give him credit for that. But that's how it goes. You know what I'm saying?
Listen. I'm just going to tell you like this. We've been searching for a quarterback since. We've been searching for a quarterback in Washington. No, don't do that. Don't do that. We've been searching for a quarterback since Mark Rippon.
I think RG3 would have been fine if they wouldn't have ran him into oblivion.
He ran himself into oblivion.
Come on. RG3 is dragging himself on ESPN right now.
Those were not his
about
play
being
calls.
hurt.
First, listen. First, I'm going to tell you something. First, before you say anything about RG3, put a playbook in front of him and tell him to come back and digest it, or give him a month and see if he digested that whole playbook. Don't give me that RG3. No, man, you don't do your homework. It shows on the field. Put a playbook in front of the dude and see what happens.
They said, "Are you hurt, Robert?" He says, "No, coach, I'm not." And then he get to doing the stanky leg in the middle of the field because he was really hurt.
Oh, that was crazy because that is quite accurate. That leg did like this.
I know you was happy if somebody getting hurt. Stop it. Listen,
no, I wasn't happy.
Hey, I do have to address one thing with you. So Sean Payton's getting interviews right now, right? Yep. Jerry Jones said earlier this week that he is confident that he's going to bring back Mike McCarthy no matter what the results is this week. Now, Sean is y'all's boy, and Jerry can move some mountains, right?
I was looking for something to make a smoke screen.
Hey, if Sean Payton want to interview with the Cowboys, you still want McCarthy?
Absolutely not, because you know what he did? He lied to us. He told us he was in the analytics.
I gotta start drinking.
He told us Mike McCarthy told us that he was an analytics guy, that he learned the error of his ways.
This ain't open.
We know he's not more analytical than Pick is tall. Okay.
Oh, I am tall. I will show the pictures.
Whoa. Shots fired.
I'm very tall.
So anyway, and yes, and Mike McCarthy's very analytical. Come on, man.
But hold on, I
right.
call it a
I don't
finesse.
buy.
And
I don't
his
buy that.
finesse
I don't
show.
buy. I don't
I'm
buy
just
that Mike
saying.
McCarthy's job
Sean
is safe
Payton,
if
Mike
he doesn't
McCarthy.
win.
Sean Payton, Mike McCarthy.
It's
Well,
not close. It's not close.
Jerry Jones can only blame himself for that one. He had Sean Payton in the building, and he decided to let him go.
Let him go.
He can only blame himself for that.
He got a man crush on Sean Payton.
Say it. Of all the guys that he's paid to stay, you let Sean Payton go.
Because Sean Payton was just like Jimmy Jones. He was outspoken and told him what he thought to his face, whether he liked it or not.
Yeah.
That
And
point
some people
right
don't
there.
like that.
Yeah.
That point right there.
And so
Jerry's got to be the most
he couldn't
powerful
take it.
person in the building.
Yep.
That's why I say Jerry doesn't want to win bad enough. Because if you would get out of the way and be an 80-year-old man who just enjoys winning Super Bowls. Him and Kraft can't be that much apart. And Kraft does a great job of allowing his coach to do what he needs to do. That's all I got. That's all I say.
Okay.
Well, it's only one. That's the key. He got the one right guy to get in there and do what he needs to do to be successful. Now, of course, Tom Brady is a part of that as well, but whatever.
Where's Roger Smith? He about to go to the corner.
What did you say?
He lied about watching film in his basement.
He was down there eating Twinkies and ice cream sandwiches.
Yep. Robert Three Stacks was.
And I'll tell you another thing.
Hold on. Yeah.
Brother, you may go. Anybody stupid enough to interview him for a head coaching job after they see what he's done at offensive coordinator, brother, please. You may gladly go and find greener pastures. You're only slightly better than Scott Turner. Slightly.
I don't know.
That's it.
Lady A had to leave off of that right there. She had to leave. All right, listen up.
She's repulsed by the name.
It has been a minute since we've done some picks with you guys, but guess what? Say it. Where's your belt? Where's your belt? Say it.
Somebody stole it. He trying to act like he froze. He ain't froze.
I think Ant stole it. Ant stole it.
I'm just wondering why I ain't got one for college, but whatever.
Oh, let me grab it.
I'm just wondering where mine is for college, but whatever.
Okay, listen.
Yeah.
Say, look, we got so y'all know the rules was we had to pick a winner, right? Well, we're gonna try something different with you guys for the playoffs. We're gonna bring you all 6 playoff games, but we are only choosing 4. So we have the right to say, I'm not playing this game. There are 6 games. We have to play 4. So everyone will have the same record. All right. We can play the game any kind of way that we would like to.
Oh, I see what he's doing, Lady A. He's trying to make it to where he has a chance.
Oh, okay. Right. No. This is absolutely about.
No.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
That's what he's doing.
It's absolutely okay. Say it. What do you got right there?
Oh, the hardware.
That's right. The First Ring Podcast NFL champ is said, right? Ant, college is over. We'll get you a belt made. Maybe it'll be a plastic one like the ones we get from no, we got you, Ant. We got you.
The disrespect.
No, Ant,
I left them in the take.
What'd you say, Sid?
Metaphor stupid. He talking about Call of Duty.
Oh God, yeah, he did. Okay,
boy, you so with that joke, boy.
Let's get these games to you real fast. All right, so our first game. Oh, let's get that comment down for me. All right, our first game, we have the San Francisco 49ers. Oh, I'm sorry. We have the San Francisco 49ers hosting the Seattle Seahawks here. This game, Lady A, correct me if I'm wrong, has weather written all over it. You talk about that 2-to-1 ratio. I think both of these teams will try to run the ball. It's going to look like that Chicago Bears versus San Francisco game earlier in the year. There have been nothing but downpours in San Fran as of right now. These are 2 division foes which play each other twice a year. Of course, this will be the 3rd time that they play this year. Let's look at this line, ladies and gentlemen. All right. We got San Fran and Lady A. Are you ready with the BetRivers? Oh no, I got it. I got it right now.
Yeah,
Too.
I got it. But if
Okay.
you don't,
I got
just
it.
let me know.
Okay. We got Seattle is plus 9.5 at minus 112. Now it's minus 112. And their money line is plus 380. So that is still absolutely correct. And San Francisco is minus 9.5 at minus 109. And their money line is minus 530. The over-under has gone down to 42 at 110 for the over and 110 for the under. Listen, say it. We are in playoff mode, okay? And like I told you, there are 3 speeds in the NFL. There's preseason speed, there is regular season speed, and then there's lunatic speed, which is known as the playoffs. It is time to get your speed up. And who has more speed? Man, is it just me, or is that daggone belt blinding me right now? Is it sparkling in y'all's eyes too?
Oh, is it sparkling your eye?
Play, don't make me put on some shades.
Let me pull
All
the belt down.
Okay, there you go.
I'll just put it around my waist. That's all.
Just put it around your waist, the champ, until you get knocked off. Right. Listen, this game here, this is going to be played in the monsoon downpour, whatever. Brock Purdy, third quarterback, versus the comeback player of the year and Geno Smith here. With all the rain, give me the under. Give me the under. Under 42. I think this will be a race to 17.
Yeah. So with the rain and with the familiarity of opponent, I believe that this will be a closer game than what most people think. Geno in that run game, I think will fight hard, but overall, I don't think it'll be enough. But I do think they keep it close, so I'm gonna take Seattle plus 9.5.
Seattle plus the 9.5. The familiarity, I like that. I like that pick right there, Ant. I like that. Lady A.
So I'm gonna say this: both teams are used to the rain, not just the 49ers. Seattle, if you've ever been to Seattle. They're used to the rain.
I've been there.
I'm gonna go with the under on this one.
You're going with the under. All right. Droop says he's going to win the belt next season. I was like, you're going to the belt next season. Okay. Droop says he's winning the belt next season. All right. We would like for y'all to tell us how y'all like to play these games as well. Lady I and myself, we're both going under 42 points, and Ant is taking the Seattle Seahawks plus the 9.5. Champ, otherwise known as U Blink, or otherwise known as Georgia Bulldog Nation, otherwise known as Said, otherwise known as the Postman Stetson Bennett.
I gotta go ahead and get my back to back on here too.
Also as the poor winner. That dude right there, boy, he's pour it on like it's gravy on top of biscuits, boy.
You know what? Geno has played very well this year, but he's running into a buzzsaw, which is the San Francisco 49ers. The weather is the only thing that's going to keep this score down.
Yes, sir. Come on, Rain.
In the game.
Grass field.
Man, but it's hard to. I don't know if Geno's ready for the playoffs. I got to go with Ant. Very similar to Ant. I'm gonna take Seattle in the plus the 9.5.
Metaphor says San Fran 67-7.
Boy, you tweaking. Oh, you did. That sound like the Georgia Bulldogs score.
When they covered up. Here I am thinking for an under. Man, please stay under. They hit the over by themselves.
Georgia, I want y'all to know it's going to be 57 degrees and precipitation is 100%.
100% on the grass field.
And see, I would be worried about Brock more than I'd be worried about Geno. Yeah. This is a situation he ain't been in before. You know what I'm saying? So
the wind is only 19 miles per hour as well. So
yeah,
I
worry about McCaffrey as well. You know, he got them bad feet and knees. Slipping out there in that rain, he could go down. Because the other running back broke his thumb. The guy who just came back, Mitchell, he has a broken thumb.
Well, he's playing. He's absolutely playing.
He may be playing, but he got a broken thumb.
Well,
Yeah,
you got two of those. You got two of those. You got two.
But you also put the ball on the ground.
But you act like it's that simple. You don't just switch the ball over there like.
What are you talking about? I play football with a broken wrist.
You're not a professional either, Pick.
Come on, man. I
Oh
cover
my
that ball
goodness.
with the cash.
Why you got to do him like that, Ed?
Well, hold on.
No. But no, I'm not trying to be funny. I'm saying it's difficult no matter who you are.
No, it's
Yes,
not.
it is.
You're taught to cover the ball. You're taught to carry the ball in both hands, unless you're Zeke Elliott, who keeps it in one hand.
So hold on, Pick. They're also they're taught to pry on your weakness. You playing with a broken wrist, and the other team may not know, versus him playing with a broken wrist.
How could you not know when a person has a full cast on their arm and it's covered up and wrapped?
What kind of full cast? Like a hard cast?
And that's not easy to cover the ball up.
Rubber cast, yeah.
That's also still not easy to cover.
But you carry it in your good hand and you cover up when you're about to get contact.
Okay.
Yeah, come on now.
I'm just saying.
That's going to help knock the ball out. We'll go ahead.
No, it's not.
What's the next game?
Next game. All right. Our next game is the Los Angeles Chargers versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. All right. Now, these are two teams right here that have been in playoff mode for quite a while. Jacksonville pretty much just kept going and getting better as the season went on. But you look at the Chargers, who started to get healthy as the season has gone on. Mike Williams has back spasms. He didn't hurt himself, and he should be available for Justin Herbert in this game. This absolutely right here could be the next two great quarterbacks coming out of the AFC with Justin Herbert and Trevor Lawrence. Let's see how they continue to develop here. This is a game that really does excite me right here. To say the least. Both teams have great defenses. Both teams are hungry and have been doing this for quite a while. Let's look at this line. We got the Los Angeles Chargers at -2.5 at -110. Their money line has changed. It is now -141. The Jacksonville Jaguars are +2.5 at -110. And their money line has changed also. It is +117. The over-under is 47.5 at 110 both ways. That's still the same. Listen, Jacksonville, like I just stated, has been in playoff mode for quite a while. I believe they may have one injury that concerns me a little bit, and hopefully we can get a little bit more information before this game is played on Saturday night at 8:15 p.m. on the East Coast, 7:15 for us on this side of the world. That long trip from Los Angeles to Jacksonville is something that you got to think about here as well. I like the Jaguars plus the 2.5. I like the Jaguars plus the 2.5 in this game. So I've played 2 games so far, so that means that I got some games that I'm playing coming up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ed.
Yes, sir. Okay. Man, I hear a lot of fake hope in this Jaguars team, who definitely, like you said, and I'm talking about by and large, I've been hearing everybody, well, they, book it. The Jaguars are going to beat the Chargers, and then here comes Sean Payton. I'm not so fast to believe this. I think that this team has been the most inconsistent team of all the teams. And they also didn't play amazing in that win or get in against Tennessee, but they got it done. So with that being said, I just think we've been itching to see what Herbert does in the playoffs. I believe that he finds a way to outduel Trevor Lawrence to get this W. Give me the Chargers on the money line.
Chargers money line. I like it, Ant. I like it. Lady A.
I'm not touching it.
You're not touching it?
Nope.
Okay, Lady A is exercising her right to not pick this game. Say it.
Give me the Jaguars plus 2.5.
Jaguars plus 2.5, which is
I think they learn how to win. I think they've got a taste of it. They have an idea how to do it. And they're playing at home in Duval County. They had Con on the field last week. I think they got motivation to win this game.
I got you. Ant, you ready?
Hey Wilson, where you at, boy?
There he goes.
Where you at, dog?
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. That was pretty
I'm not
awesome
studying
right
you,
there.
boy. I am not studying you.
Lady A, this message is for you.
What? If you don't go sit down,
I'm sick of you. Dude, you really are. You are a very witty dude. I gotta give it to you. You are very witty.
Metaphor is crazy.
Metaphor
That is
Yeah,
a
yeah.
great. That is a great. Even your name is a double entendre, and that is very good.
Yeah. Spell that.
you know what?
Entendre. Oh Lord, you gotta step your vocab up, buddy.
No. I know what it means. Journalism major.
Okay, give
He
it to me.
wants
That.
you to spell it though.
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
You see what I'm saying?
No. My mama said don't say words you can't spell. It's like, oh, okay.
That's
all right.
true.
I'll give you a little secret, a little hint. EN.
I feel you. All right, let's go. Our next game here, we got the Miami Dolphins.
I feel you. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
We got the Miami Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills here. Tua Tagovailoa is not playing. He still has not passed concussion protocol. They're actually starting to think about ways to protect Tua from himself, is what I'm hearing from the Players Association. All right. The Buffalo Bills seem to be on a mission. They've got nothing but great news with 3 coming back. Damar Hamlin. Damar Hamlin. And I think that this motivation that they are giving him is just amazing, and that that he's feeding into his team and his team is buying it. Sort of reminds me of the Sean Taylor movement that we had, Lady A. You know what I'm talking about, like the wave of emotions that go through the players. Miami, I just don't know, man. Third string quarterback here. We say
Teddy
that
can't be that much good luck.
We say Teddy's not playing.
I know. That's what I'm saying. He's been hurt every time the starting quarterback is hurt. So how much good luck is he?
But Teddy, if Teddy's on your squad, you're getting a good draft pick. I'm just gonna give you this line right here and let y'all go with it as y'all may. The line has changed. The Miami Dolphins are plus 13.5 at minus 110. Their money line is plus 575 now. The Buffalo Bills are minus 13.5 at minus 110. Their money line is minus 910. The over-under is 43.5, 110 both ways now. It's 110 both ways now. Coming and going. Over and the under. All right.
Pause.
Pick is not playing this game. However, I got something for you to play. Here. All right. I'm not going to leave you high and dry. Look for player props. Just because I'm not playing this game doesn't mean I'm not looking out for you. Last week, Nyheim Hines had 2 kickoff returns. I think Nyheim Hines will actually touch the ball out of the backfield. He's pretty much down the depth chart as far as being a running back. But I still think that this guy is one of the fastest running backs on the field. So look for Nyheim Hines for anytime touchdown. That's plus $600 for anytime touchdown. So look for Nyheim plus 600 anytime touchdown. That's what I'm giving you right there. And
Bills on the spread.
Bills minus 13. I feel you. That's actually a good play because I think they're gonna put 2 touchdowns on them. And okay, Lady A.
I'm going with the over.
She's going with the over of 43.5. Is that the Bills by themselves, or they're going to need a little help from Miami here?
I mean, I'm going with the over, but I don't think the Bills by themselves, but the Bills they're going to take the bulk of that.
All right.
They're definitely going to take the bulk of that.
Say it.
It's going to be, I'm taking Buffalo money line.
I thought about it because y'all know I'm a whole troll, but I thought about it. Buffalo gonna win this game.
Pick, just keep this going by, brother. That's what else next. All I can tell you moving forward, this new format, I'm not going to take the cheap way.
Oh man.
Go ahead.
Real talk.
All right, hold on. Wait.
Sid,
Hold on.
I'm with you. I got you. I understand.
I don't.
I do.
There's
Wait,
many
am
different
I
ways.
Wilson again?
No.
What
You
we doing?
went Buffalo. You went Buffalo minus the 13.
Yeah.
Lady A took the over.
Right.
Right.
So what you gonna pick?
I'm staying away. I gave you a player
Oh
prop.
yeah,
Though.
no,
I'm
there's
staying
no
away.
Wilson.
Yeah, I'm staying away. There's no Wilson. All y'all are pretty much on Buffalo or the over. So yeah, there's no Wilson. All right. The Minnesota Vikings and the look. It's not me.
You got that right. Call me Mattress Matt.
He took a little L on that.
He took some L's this last year. Okay.
Somebody tell you to learn how to bet on Jordan instead of against him. But go ahead.
He's trying to double his money. Okay. We have the New York Giants and the Minnesota Vikings here. All right. I'm really, really excited about this game right here. You got the New York Giants who coming in. Name one of their wide receivers. Anyone?
No.
Galladay.
Okay, that's about it. The Giants are beating people without wide receivers. I think that the Giants are a year early. The Minnesota Vikings are winning in spite of their defense and especially their secondary. The question is, I think this is one of those games. If the Giants get out, they have to get out and not allow the Vikings to get back into this game in their own building, pretty much like the Colts did on Thanksgiving. Got out 33-0 and still lost the game. I don't understand why. Justin Jefferson, Kirk Cousins are pretty special together. Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley is another dynamic duo. This is going to be the highest scoring game of the whole week. The question is, who's going to have the ball last? Both of these teams specialize in one-score games. I'm going to say that again. Both of these teams specialize in one-score games. Hence the 3-point spread here. All right? Let me give you the line. The Giants are +3 at -110. Their money line is +140. The Minnesota Vikings are -3 at -110, and their money line is -175. The over-under still set at 48, 113 for the over, 108 for the under here. Droops already told us, give me the Giants money line. Bruce Glasser said, give me the Giants money line. I am an NFC East fan. I would love to see all four teams in there. I'm going to take the Giants +3. Go ahead, Ant.
I'm sorry, you guys. You guys were the only ones that didn't make the cut. I am staying away from this game. Yes.
You're staying away.
Not touching it.
That's a good decision.
Okay, okay.
I'm going to go ahead and take the Giants with the spread.
Giants +3. Got you. Bruce likes the over.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
All right.
Staying away as well. Pass.
Staying away. He's passing. Taking a pass. Taking a pass.
Said why do you sound so? Said sounded so bored. He was like,
"Oh, hey, I pretty much like
that crap."
You said I'm staying away.
I think I messed up.
You messed up?
I think I did. Oh no. Okay, no, I didn't. No, I didn't.
Oh
okay.
No, not. I mean, it wouldn't be you anyway. It would be the graphics department.
No. With something else. All right. No, I thought I played a game that I wasn't supposed to play. All right, here we go. We got the Baltimore Ravens versus the Cincinnati Bengals. I just told you guys I thought that Cincinnati would be in the Super Bowl if you were watching the show earlier. They are playing the Baltimore Ravens, who are without Lamar Jackson. Huntley practiced today, but they may be playing their third-string quarterback as well. Baltimore literally has underperformed this year, and Lamar Jackson's in a contract year, and he came out and had to tell people about his knee because he's in a contract year, and people feel like he quit on them in Baltimore. Well, he does have about 50 million reasons to quit,
because he is an unrestricted free agent and he's looking to show me the money. Baltimore. Cincinnati Bengals are on a roll. Their last game versus the Buffalo Bills got canceled. However, they came back in the final week of the season and did what true champs do. They got a taste of being in the Super Bowl, and I think they want that feeling again. This time, I think they want better results. Who is stopping Joe Burrow from doing what he wants to do, along with his gang of receivers and his two faithful running backs? The defense is playing better, and I think that this is not even close to being a slugfest as it would normally be with this division rivalry. Again, because this will be the third time that these two teams have faced each other. Let me give you the line. The line has changed. It is up to a 9.5. So Baltimore plus 9.5 at minus 110. Their money line is now plus 350. Cincinnati's minus 9.5 at minus 110. Their money line is now minus 455. The over-under's at 40.5. Still, it's 110 both ways, so that also has changed. All right. This is pick stay away game. However, I'm not going to leave you guys empty-handed here. Total points in the first half. The over-under is 20.5. If you take the over, that's plus 120. Do you think the Bengals could score 20 points in the first half? I think the Bengals could score more than 20.5, more than 21 points in the first half. So find that over-under total points in the first half. Get that plus 120. Easy money. Joe Burrow and the boys come out and put Baltimore away early. Say it. That's one of my plays for the week. Cincinnati. Early money. I'm just telling you, man. Take that at 20.5. Get that money right now. And
if you're right on that, kudos to you. I think that's bad. I think this Baltimore team has found a way to keep games close and tight. Even though they haven't had Lamar. So I see them winning this game and winning it easily. Well, I ain't gonna say easily. I see them being able to possibly pull away late, but I don't think that they're just gonna run crazy over Baltimore, even with Huntley or whoever else may be in there. So, with that being said, give me the Bengals on the money line.
Bengals on the money line. Gotcha.
He's spending 400. He said he's dropping that.
Right.
That's not that extreme.
It's not that extreme. You're right.
But given the new change in rules, but I refuse to choose anything other than the Ravens, so I'm staying away from this game.
All right, Lady A is a second game staying away from.
Yeah,
she's all out of stayaways, just like me.
Yeah.
Right. Say it.
I'm gonna go Bengals minus 9.5.
Bengals minus the 9.5. All right. I prefer the Ravens. Bruce Glass says I prefer the Ravens to win, but I believe the Bengals will win. Yes, I need the Bengals to win and make it all the way.
I believe that we will win.
That's right. You got that right. You got that right there. All right. Our last game is this Monday night game here, and I think I got another player prop for you guys to that you guys will like. And I'll tell you about it here in a little bit after everyone has their picks. Okay, hold on, wait. Oh, let's go back.
It ain't gonna be a lot. It's two of y'all.
I messed up. What do you mean? Oh, it's two of us picking this game?
Yeah,
that's fine. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I got you. That's the way it's supposed to be. All right.
So we got I'm in that same boat with your player. I ain't touching it.
We got this is your team, and this is another reason why I like this.
Not touching it.
We'll see how this format goes, and we'll tweak it, and we'll have something for you guys.
I shouldn't have to pick it because it's my team.
I mean, it's your choice. I mean, whatever.
Whatever.
So we got the Dallas Cowboys. We got the Dallas Cowboys coming off of a loss, as well as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who pulled their starters but somehow squeaked out a win in Week 18. Right?
Who did?
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Bengals.
They lost.
They lost. They did lose. They lost to Atlanta Falcons, right?
Yep, they put him out. We hit him like 3 times in a row. Oh, gotta put him out.
Gotta get them out. That's right.
I love that too. Said I was like, yes, beat them.
Beat them up. Listen, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are, as we just talked to David Harrison right here. He's telling us some good things, some inside things about Tampa. Thinking that their defense should be able to handle and frustrate Dak Prescott is what I heard. AntMoe heard something different. You said he spoke highly of the defense. Micah Parsons may be a little bit more injured than everyone thinks. Vita Vea is coming back, but how much can he really give you at 750 pounds? 2 biscuits away from 55, 755. I don't know. How conditioned is he for this playoff speed? Which, like I told you guys earlier, the NFL has 3 speeds: preseason, regular season, and lunatic speed, which is otherwise known as the playoffs. Right. And Dak Prescott, is he going to recover mentally? And pretty much, is he going to study like he needs to go as far as the Cowboys can go? I mean, there's a joke that the Commanders fans have, which is Redskin fans, football team fans. The Cowboys week is only 1 week longer than ours, right? Is this the year that the Cowboys prove us wrong? I mean, I hope that their fan base hopes so. You know, they have everything that it takes. They have good receivers, 2 good running backs, a nice tight end, and a defense that plays out of their mind. Defense wins championships. It's time to step up. Put the GOAT down. Send them home packing. Let's look at this line. We got the Dallas Cowboys -2.5 at -114. Their money line is -148. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are +2.5 at -106. Which, I'm sorry, is -107 now. It's -107. Their money line is +120. That actually went down a little bit. The over-under is now at 46 points. 108 for the over, 113 for the under here. So, the GOAT's still the GOAT. And his offensive line is not ready for this.
Ant did not want to hear that.
No.
This man has played horrendous. I don't give a crap about
Hold on.
Tom Brady being the great.
Finish? Can I
I'm
finish?
sorry.
Sir?
Go ahead. I'm sorry. It was Lady A. She sparked me. I'm sorry.
The GOAT is still the GOAT. But his offensive line, which we all say, how do you build a house? Do you start with the roof or do you start with the foundation? The foundation is your offensive line. In the NFL, you win by having good offensive lines and good defensive lines. I think Dallas's defensive line is going to dominate the Buccaneers' offensive line. I think the Cowboys will win this game, but give me the Bucs +2.5.
Dang. So you think this is gonna be
I think it's going to be super close. I think it's going to go down to the wire. I think that Mike McCarthy, with that vote of confidence this week, will get his first playoff win without Aaron Rodgers.
That's interesting.
And
I think that whole situation is a load of crap. What Jerry Jones is saying, Tom Brady has shown that he is on the way down, and I think it's happening rather fast. You know, for him to go team up with Sean Payton may be the only thing that could help, but I don't see it ending. I don't see it ending well for him. Y'all have heard me say I don't care who the Cowboys were playing; they were going to lose. So that's what I firmly believe, but I'm staying away from this game for voting purposes.
got you.
Well, first of all, metaphor, I only passed on 2 games. Thanks. But for this particular game, Tom has never lost to the Cowboys. Is this going to be the game that he's going to lose to the Cowboys? I don't think so. However, I want it to be. I'm going to be honest with you. I really want it to be deep down inside, because maybe if he loses to the Cowboys, he'll finally retire and stay retired. I'm really like, I want him to just go sit down.
You don't want him there next year?
Right, you're like 45. Stop it. So I would prefer for the Cowboys to beat Tom Brady, but I don't think that's going to happen. I'm going to take the Bucs with the spread.
Bucs with the spread. And said you're staying away?
Yep.
All right. Now, I need y'all to perk up on this one, okay? Need y'all to perk up. Listen, I told y'all. I have some things that I've been looking at, and this is one that is really, really fire. All right. CeeDee Lamb, first touchdowns plus 800. CeeDee Lamb
first touchdown.
CeeDee Lamb.
Ooh.
CeeDee Lamb last touchdown is plus 800. CeeDee Lamb anytime touchdown plus 133.
I can see him doing first touchdown. I really can.
I can see a first touchdown, and I can see an anytime touchdown. CeeDee Lamb is a great play this weekend. The last touchdown is plus 800 as well.
Right.
I believe that if Dak Prescott doesn't have his head up his butt, CeeDee Lamb could have one of the greatest Cowboys playoff games that we've seen. I believe he has. That
should be his go-to.
I think that's the trajectory that he's on. Like, just let him eat. The way he was getting off the line last week surprised me.
Well, you know why?
Because they were bursting off the line.
When they was free releasing them, they had a safety over top. I'm telling you, man. Listen, I think CeeDee Lamb is a safe play as a prop this week. CeeDee Lamb's a heck of a play. Either way, first touchdown, last touchdown, or anytime touchdown, I think CeeDee Lamb is a heck of a play.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. There you have it. This is what we think. This is how we feel. Let us know what y'all think about oh my God, my man said CeeDee Lamb first drop -3.
Terrible.
Wow.
Oh man. Let us know what y'all think. Thank y'all for putting
what more. Hey, Metaphor, I'm gonna see what McLaurin gonna do this week. Oh, wait a minute.
Oh,
he's gonna be playing that flag.
Ed had to go. He's having internet issues right now.
He did it.
Hey, he's gonna be playing that flag football game next week. Okay, never mind. Don't worry about it, guys. Don't mind me. He'll be playing that flag football game. But good job making the Pro Bowl. They don't even wear pads anymore. Does it mean the same? I don't know.
You are just so shady.
I feel the same way. That flag football had me feeling some kind of way.
It's not the same anymore. But
instead of making these grown men play and bring some more pride and respect back to it, you say, you know what? How about we just do two-hand touch?
Well,
they're too scared somebody's gonna get hurt. That's
as soon as someone get hurt, the flag football games will go away as well. Listen, don't forget to give each and every one of us a follow on Twitter. Our Twitter handles are here: Toothpick74 for myself. Sid is ublink71. Lady A is at Lady J Antoinette, and AntMoe is not up there, but it's Mind of a Man. Yeah,
Mind of a Man.
Mind of a Man. Right. Thank you for following us and always supporting us for real, man. We really appreciate it. We'll continue to put out good content and bring you guys insiders like David Harris that we had today. Don't forget on Tuesday. Don't forget on Tuesday we have our Wizards beat reporter Chase Hughes who will be joining us. Lady A is going to make sure that no one breaks inside of his house. Right?
The lady killer. I thought you were about to say the lady killer, not lady.
Man, I'm going to ask him again. Has she returned? Has she returned and tried to open up?
Somebody was trying to break in.
Yeah, she was just like let myself in. Chase, what you doing?
Right.
I know you're home. I'm watching the podcast.
Right.
Oh, you're not going to answer my calls?
She was trying to walk right in.
Say it. Flex your belt one more time for us, bro. Let
goodness.
us know who the champ is.
Man,
it's too shiny.
He says too shiny.
It's too shiny, Sid. It's too shiny.
What glasses at?
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the First Street Podcast. And again, we are brought to you by BetRivers. Make sure you guys download that BetRivers app or go to www.betrivers.com. Tell a friend about First Street Podcast. Say it. The dogs have won. Tell them anyway.
Go dogs.
Go
back to back, baby.
Dogs.
Artlist.io